2009, Kasra was buzzing for one thing, Sakawa. Bro, I've seen money. When I was starting, people spoke against it. My mom spoke against it. My dad spoke against it. My auntie spoke against it. And it was so sad. Chief, if you ever see this video, your actions...
Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner.
Where Duraplas goes, water flows.
PS Industries has introduced a new roofing system known as ColorLink Plus.
Flamingo paint, simply superior. Syntax tank, are you strong? Are you tough?
Cherry Tree Properties. We develop spaces as though we were going to occupy them.
Ten petitions now sit before the Chief Justice. 7 demanding the removal of the Electoral Commission heads. 3 are targeting the special prosecutor. The Speaker of Parliament and NDC MPs crusade to scrap the office of special prosecutor. But they face a public outrage for fear of accountability. Recently, the NDC chairman insisted the EC heads must go because they are unfit for office. All this comes shortly after the controversial removal of the Chief Justice, raising the question, are we witnessing reform or a coordinated purge of Ghana's accountability institutions? While politics consumes the watchdogs and referees, the nation's classrooms deliver a huge shock. Over half of Wassce candidates failed mathematics, over 200,000. That's a devastating collapse of standards, exposing a generation of risk, justice, democracy, and education. 3 pillars shaking at once. Is Ghana rebuilding, resetting, or dismantling itself? One petition, one purge, and one failure at a time. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. Here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. We return shortly to hear the man who has been at the forefront of the crusade against the special prosecutor, Martin Pebu. Then he tells his story in full. But He says somebody called him stupid. We'll hear who called who stupid. There's a witness from the office of the special prosecutor. We'll be right back.
Still, Misaka, and Nemu was a summer brabo, and it can afford swab
Misaka pensions, Carol.
Misaka order Sika.
Misaka insurance.
Misaka loan.
Momo Fogusuri ye echumaden, the aboye nyina ye sika humpain. Se MTN, ana momo jumaye ni befrewa, or the 0244 300,000 ene befrew. Ne numpo orin bitsao one time password, ana se upin code. Enti wonso ye wa femu die na ma weni na ho na wonsa enka omumu.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
So, Charlie, the deal there, I almost get her.
Syntax pipe, as tough as it can get.
You're so sorry with your back, sorry. Oh, what are you? What the cat never will be with your catch. Hey! Now, I'm pipe.
Between a pie and cabo.
Hey, madam, pipe menu.
A syntax pipe. Metono, Omukacham send a one day pa. Say a fee, say a foam. The other pipe we be a yannick gum.
Syntax pipe.
Why a leaky?
Come, madam. From today, syntax pipe in my pipe. No 2 ways.
When you know, pipe ben abe use.
SINTEX pipe.
Syntax pipe.
In a carrier. No, hala.
Strong and refined. The skincare you deserve. Dream.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernat Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernat, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernat Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Yaniba Estate, Osu, Accra, or call 0303-966-085 or 055-278-4097. Think wood, think Fernat.
Welcome back. This is Newsfile, it's your most authoritative news analysis platform. 3 petitions, 1 purge. Speaker and NDC MPs especially are crusading to scrap the OSP as CJ removal still stinks. But the NDC had said something about the OSP in their manifesto, right? So let's see how it goes. 7 petitions against the EC heads, reform or partisan capture. The NDC insists that those officers are unfit for office, and over 50% fail Wassce mathematics, collapse of standards, or a generational sacrifice. Those are the questions we're asking. The show is brought to you by the kind sponsorship of Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and close as a partner, MTN, everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye service, eye care provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntex Tanks, it's strong. It's tough. Activa International Insurance. Our clients are Pashing International Facilities Management Association. They are proud to be associated with your most authoritative news analysis platform, Newsfile. Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature. That's the place to be this holidays. Valex Lease, your affordable documents management solution, and the Gold Board Jewelry. Pure, precious, proudly Ghanaian. So let's begin. We'll talk about the governance issues and what is being called for abolishing of the office of the special prosecutor. But before we do that, Martin Kpebu was at the premises and something happened in the course of the week. And questions are being raised about that. Let's hear from him. Many of you may have heard him over and again. I sat down with him and asked him a few questions. These are the questions some of you have been asking. And once he's done, as I informed you earlier, we have a witness from the Office of the Special Prosecutor who says she saw everything from start to finish, has a different story. Whose report shall we believe, Martin or that officer? Let's hear Martin first. Now it's very obvious. Not only is Parliament acting together and seeking the abolishing of the Office of Special Prosecutor, but some sections of citizens believe that this is the way to go. Why? Because there's been one man who has led a campaign for a long time, and that campaign appears to have culminated in the events that's got the whole country talking about the OSP and the head of that office. Martin Kpebu, good morning and thank you very much for joining us on Newsfile.
Good morning, Sam.
Right.
Good to be here. The mentor general. Maybe Ghanaians don't know this. I always say that, look, I think I'm largely on TV, okay? Or I'm on TV largely due to your influence. Yeah, you've always been the mentor. I remember those days where it seemed like the bar had left you alone. You were the lone voice, the lone lawyer talking. I used to get angry that, why wouldn't the senior lawyers join and talk? Why wouldn't the senior lawyers join and talk? Why wouldn't the senior lawyers join and talk? And the next thing I knew, I had joined you.
I remember how repeatedly you would say this to me, and I would say, slow down.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Right. So you used to love your private life.
Yes, sir.
And just about, now getting to about 2 years now, you've been shot into this public life.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you enjoy it, do you?
No, not in terms of just relishing it for its sake. No, because it comes with a lot of limitations. That's to say that things that ordinarily I could do, I no longer can. Everything you do, you are watching. Hey, if the public got to know this, how would it fare? So it brings a lot of stress.
Right.
Yeah, it brings a lot of stress.
Right.
But the motivating factor, like I said, at least I know it means that for some years now, we've been giving you support. Right. So even if the senior lawyers say they won't talk, junior lawyers will talk. And when I say junior, I don't mean like we are junior.
Of course.
Junior in terms of relative to the stalwarts. Even now Tadiosori is talking. I remember those days. I call senior Tadiosori. I say, senior, you guys should be the ones talking, because we all know that Tadios is a colossus. Yeah. I went to meet Ace and Kuma when he said he was no longer going to talk. I said, no, senior, even because of your age, certain age bracket, they want to listen to you more than younger ones like us, etc. So, I'm happy I've joined the crusade. We are building a stronger society.
Even busy. Let's cut to the chase. You went to the office of the special prosecutor, abusing officers, obstructing them from doing their work, and didn't expect that you'd be arrested, because that is an offense, at least under the OSP Act Section 29(3).
Well, Sam, I'm not abusive. No, at all. It's a story that's been fabricated. That's why I came out straight with my version to say what the truth is. Unfortunately for me, you had your reporter, journalist, Fatah Bayarga, right? Yes, and the cameraman. And then also I have two of my lawyers with me. Yes, they were the persons at least who I trust will say the truth. No, I didn't go there to cause trouble. You know what happened? Cut to the chase, like you said earlier. The soldier abused me. He said he will show me in a very menacing manner.
Without provocation at all.
Absolutely, and we'll soon come to the step by step, but I just want to say the core of it. Yes. So can you imagine? I was walking. I was like walking about 5 to 7 meters, okay, with him behind. I didn't even know. So let's put it this way. I walked past the security post for about 5 to 7 meters. Then he called from behind. So can you imagine? Somebody is walking to the reception. Then you call him from behind, and they say, next time you come here and do that again, I will show you. And that's from a soldier. And he was pointing his hands and fingers at me. So you see, it was quite threatening enough. Then I said, no, you have no authority to do that. You can't. You can't stop me from going out to grant interviews, right? So the next thing I knew, then he said, you're a stupid man. So I looked at it and said, no. So I also replied that he's stupid. I think I had to reply in equal measure, because such an unrepentant soldier, if you allowed it to happen, he would continue doing that. And I can tell you that subsequently, a senior police officer called me and said they did the same thing to him some months ago. And Sami Darko knows about it. That person had coincidentally gone to see Sami Darko, and the soldiers did that. So if it's a lie, of course, when you mention that there was an incident, and Sami Darko knows. When we say Sami Darko, he's the director of strategy and communications, among others, at the OSP. So that's not it. Do we have time to go through step by step now?
It's curious that such a thing will happen without any provocation, because as we understand from your narrative so far, you had been asked not to conduct the interview in front of, at the entrance.
Yes.
and some of the journalists rather try to ask the officers, why can't we do this here? And you were the one,
say that again,
as you said, told them that they should be calm, so you moved a little away.
Yeah.
Then you finish with that, and you're walking back into the OSP's offices, and the soldier attacks you.
That is it, absolutely. So I'm still a bit traumatized. Yeah, because I was like, this is insane. I'm still a bit traumatized. That is the right narration. So rightly, as you said, so when I came back, I went past the security. The first person I met was a policeman who came and sacked us. And I, as I said, I dutifully obeyed. So, in other words, I think, looking back, when I met the policeman, when I returned in, he didn't say anything to me. I didn't say, I just passed. With hindsight, I think I expected that he should commend me. That the moment he said they should move, I quickly obeyed, moved them, that we should go. Then we went and did the interview where he thought was good.
What we hear from the officers rather is that it is those officers who deserve commendation because you abuse them rather.
Good.
Because they have sought to caution you. After you had finished the interview and returning into the offices, then they have sought to caution you by saying, please, we don't do that here. And that's what led to, as we have been informed, you stating that you will do anything you want. And then it led into the altercation. And we are being told that you actually used, abusive words, that you could do anything you want. The one who was instructing you was an idiot, and so on and so forth.
Well, it's a complete falsehood. That's a false statement. As I mentioned, so when I returned, I met the policeman first. As I say, I just went past. But I'm saying with hindsight, maybe you should have commended. As you keep narrating the story, ordinarily I greet or I would say something, but as I say, I just went past him quietly. So I went about 5-7 meters. Then now, there are two policemen. The first one, the tall one, said, you. Sam, that's the way, you. So 5-7 meters, and naturally, you would want to turn. So I turned. Then I saw him. Then he continued. We allowed you to park in this yard, and then you went out to grant an interview. Next time, I won't allow you to do that. Then being a lawyer, naturally, I'll be curious, which law is that? So I said, no, you can't stop me from going out to grant an interview. Of course, let's not forget, President Jefferson, the third president of the U.S., said he prefers a nation or a society with a strong media to a society with a government but no media. In other words, for the media, don't play. I'm going up into a powerful institution. I want to give a few comments for society to be informed what's going on. And you think that's not necessary. So I told him he had no powers. Then he kept quiet. The tall soldier kept quiet. Then I moved further 2-3 steps. Then I heard, as for me, that's paraphrasing. Then I turned. And that's the short soldier. Then he said, as for me, look, next time you come and do that here, I will show you, very menacing, in a menacing manner. Sam, let me complete the sentence this way. Then I said, no, you have no powers. Then the next thing, he said, you're a stupid man. So it's that soldier who started. So what was I obstructing? So remember, I'm going. The man talking to me is behind me, about 5 meters. He's done with me. I mean, he had no need to check me. So he was not checking me, not doing any security checks. I'm 5-7 meters towards the reception. So he calls me from behind. I'm not standing with him and obstructing anything. So, and he insults me and think as a lawyer I should keep quiet. No, we have to stand for our rights.
I get the sense that they may have felt that you would have broken their protocol, because having been to the place a number of times, just 2 weeks ago I led a client there, you would find that the protocol there is that once you go inside and you park, you go straight to the reception and you are processed to go to what you have to do before you walk out of the place. So do you think they felt agitated that you have parked inside and you want to go outside and return?
Sam, it's because of situations like this that Article 107 of our Constitution is against retroactivity or retrospectivity. This protocol you are talking about, is it written anywhere there? So to make it simple, maybe you put a dashboard or maybe a sign, and then put out the rules that once you enter here, these are the protocols. So make the laws before. So you see, in this case, they failed. And I can tell you that that was my 3rd day of attendance. So I say 3rd because I'd been there the week before and there the first time, so 2 weeks. So this is the 3rd one. On the 2 previous occasions, that's the same way I packed and went out to grant interviews, came in, and there was no issue. So you can't blame me.
You have attended to their invitation 3 times.
Yes.
That suggests that you are very willing to cooperate in what we have been told is a fact-finding committee to establish allegations you have made.
Very much so. I'm willing to cooperate because I have evidence. Yeah, I know, at least, as I said, having learned from you, being mentored by you, and now we are in the media, I know that, at least, and being a lawyer, I know that the listener should have his evidence before I say anything. That's why each occasion they invite me, I go, except the one they couldn't manage to bring their invitation to my notice, and Sami Darko went and lied that they called me 15 times, and I dared them to produce the evidence. They've still not done so. Yeah, so that's why I keep going. I have evidence. So by each occasion, sometimes they keep botching it. Is it any wonder that they allowed Oforiatta to abscond? Okay? Yeah, they allowed Oforiatta to flee from Ghana because they are so incompetent. You know why? We've gone 3 times and we've not finished with it because each time we go, they present me with subordinates to Kisi Ejabin, and let's distinguish subordinates from genius, because I've seen an official statement coming from OSP under the hand of Sami Darko where he said I'd use the word genius. Sam, I'm daring Sami Darko to bring out any tape where I said the officers who meet me are genius. No. I said subordinate to Sami Darko, so even a deputy managing director is a subordinate to the managing director. So far, the first day we met Albert Akrugu, director of asset recovery.
And yes. He recused himself.
Yes, the other 2 were not directors. Then they reconstituted. So the second time, the panel was Abraham Ablo-Mensah. He's the chief of staff of the OSP, and then lawyer Albert Paddington. Abraham, chief of staff, he's a subordinate to Kisi Ejabin, the SP, right? And Albert Paddington, the same. So the second time when we met Mr. Ablo-Mensah and lawyer Paddington, we said, no, listen. So to make it simple, we have to say, when we say we need something independent, minimum in this context, we should meet the board members. Let's give the information to the board members. Because you a subordinate, the optics look bad. If you find him liable, somebody say, hey, for a subordinate to find the boss liable, it's possible they have a beef.
Right.
If you exonerate him, they will say, oh, but what is to be expected? He's a subordinate. He needs what? Promotion. He needs other perquisites and those things.
So it's obvious that there are no officers within the OSP that you will submit to, except the board members.
Absolutely.
Or the board, currently, it doesn't have a board.
And there will be a board soon. I can tell that from the look of things, their efforts, I can tell, because I don't think 11 months into a new government, nothing has been done. From the way things run, I'm sure efforts are being made to constitute a board. So why this inordinate rush? Yeah, ask me to go and give information to a subordinate. No, it doesn't look good.
As we understand, these pieces of evidence of corrupt conduct against the head of the institution and some other officer that you have mentioned within the institution is something that you have, but you are not willing to submit that evidence to officers who are lower than the SP.
Absolutely.
The question has been asked, why don't you make public this evidence of yours?
Okay.
So that even if eventually, by the manner in which you have cooperated, if you submitted it to them, it cannot be compromised.
Excellent. So we are on it. I gave the general public a tip of the iceberg.
Your first corruption allegation was about that the SP is a double agent and he's compromised by Oforiatta, and that's why he let him go.
Yes. So, yes, let's come back to it.
That's something you can prove?
Let's come. Inferential, we will do. You will see. The double agent, I didn't necessarily tie it to the Oforiatta case. I made it general. So you see this Kingsley Agyemangten. His friends, he's doing it for friends on the other side. That's double agent. So I've proven it by what this Kingsley Agyemangten case. I'm home and dry.
I'm looking to see the documentation, and also because the law requires that the other side should be heard.
Yes.
So that the other side, the person being accused, eventually should be heard so that we can help.
Absolutely. That's why I say I'll give you those two because people are daring me. So I'll give you those two. So double agent, I didn't necessarily say only to the Ofori-Atta case. I said double agent generally. So this Kingsley Agyeman case, it passes. Kingsley Agyeman with the MPP. And Kissi Agyabin was appointed by Kufuor MPP government. Yeah, so he's working for the other side. So I'm done, even with the Kingsley Agyeman case alone. Now let's come to Ofori-Atta, this core of the matter. Look, Samson, doesn't it beggars believe that Kissi Agyabin, the special prosecutor, first-class graduate of the University of Ghana, would tell you that he saw Ofori-Atta leave, but he was powerless. And before saying he saw him leave, before that he said, before Ofori-Atta traveled, Kissi Agyabin, intercepted the letter Ofori-Atta wrote to the outgoing chief of staff and to the incoming chief of staff. And then based upon it, he now sought help from NIB. Allegedly, didn't get help. I have my letter from NIB where they've denied. I wrote to them, did Kissi Agyabin come here to seek help to arrest Ofori-Atta? They said no. And apart from NIB, he said he went to immigration service. They didn't help him. I have a letter there. I'm sure they will respond soon. Then he went to national security. He didn't get help. And he couldn't blow the whistle. Samson, you are one of the pioneers of whistleblowers. I mean, in terms of educating the masses. You know, you are a colossus. We have to give credit where credit is due. You know how you've mentored a lot of us, and today we are helping in the fight. So we shouldn't forget that as Ghanaians, right? And he couldn't blow the whistle to say, okay, if all these institutions are not helping me, then the ultimate masters of the nation, the ultimate owners of the nation must know. So I'll do a press conference, or I'll put out a press statement online, and then the rest of the media will pick it. That Ofori-Atta is about to travel out of Ghana. I want to arrest him, yet these institutions are frustrating me.
I've heard you say this repeatedly, that even you would have gone to the airport.
Absolutely. You can trust me. I would have been at the airport.
Seriously mean that?
Oh, I would have been there.
That
yes.
A whistle should be blown.
Yes.
So that citizens will mass up at the airport to stop Ofori-Atta from traveling.
Yes, when we say airport, you know, the airport, there are precincts. So it's to draw attention. We go to part of the airport, then begin to attract media. That's how we do it. Just like when I was arrested, you see how, and thank you very much, multimedia. I understand you were streaming my arrest and making efforts to get me released. The same for TV3, that's Media General, okay, and other media outlets. Thank you. So that's the power. That's the power, that as soon as word gets out that Ofori-Atta is about to travel and these institutions are allegedly frustrating Kissi Agyabin. What? Oh, me number one. I would have been the one at the airport massing people up to come there so that we generate the attention.
Do you expect that in a democracy of the rule of law, when things have to be done in accordance with law and some order, and at a time when the person had the permission from the highest place, who else should countermand that permission?
The people of Ghana, because Sam, you taught us, sovereignty resides in the people of Ghana. That's Article 1 of the Constitution. Sovereignty resides in the people of Ghana, Article 35 of the Constitution, 1995. Sovereignty resides in the people of Ghana, Article 125 of the Constitution. And many other provisions of the Constitution, even though they don't use sovereignty, what they are saying is that ultimately, Ghana belongs to Ghanaians. So when you hit a roadblock, go to Ghanaians and inform them. And that's what Martin Amidu did. You remember that?
But that was a call for disorder.
No, that's not disorder. That's the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't prevent that. Because and the theory of sovereignty
but
is a powerful thing.
As we understood, he was sick. He was seeking help.
Yes, absolutely. So just like what Kissi Agyabin did to me, just as you and I are talking now, I had to give him landed property in my name to secure my bail over a matter in which a soldier abused me. So for me to be reasonable, Sam, I've been in the media space for at least 9 years consistently now, right? It's not my suggestion that Ofori-Atta could never have traveled. What I understand the law to be is that if you was arrested, like we said, 1 minute is done, the arrest is done, detention is a different matter. And so, Ofori-Atta, we have 5 cases against you. These are the figures involved. Give us bail, 1 billion, whatever the figures are. You know, Osei-Sibe's case, his bail was originally set at 800 million, brought to 623. Right. He's still asking for reduction. So all I'm saying is that they look at all the cases and decide the bail for him. So if he had arrested him and gotten sureties, okay, gotten various sureties for his release, etc., the conversation would have been different. Don't forget, Kiseh Jabin is, what do you call it? We say loosely a friend, not body, right. But we've been in the same space with Kiseh Jabin for 27 years now.
Ongoing, and now the onus is on the Attorney General through the extradition process, the Attorney General and the presidency to ensure that Ken Ofori-Atta is brought back.
Too little, too late. Too little, too late. And it's neither here nor there. In the meantime, the OSP has suffered disrepute, ridicule, contempt, that our chief prosecutor doesn't even know how to summon help. That as chief prosecutor, and you have powers of, arrest under Section 28 of the Special Prosecutor, Office of Special Prosecutor Act. Your suspect, your most valuable suspect, he has 5 cases, is leaving the country. You don't know how to blow the whistle. That tells you that is crass
That brings me back to the issue you raised about he's saying that he sought help from NIB and the rest and he didn't get help. At the time, in the previous regime, I'm sure you were aware that the OSP, that office, had a lot of difficulties because there was generally no cooperation from the police and the other offices.
I no longer believe it. It's a ruse, and that's Sami Dako.
You and I became aware that that was the situation.
That was so. Yes, that situation. I believe we're just being poisoned. It was just poison. They were giving us false information. You see, with time, we've unmasked them. The time he arrested Cicely Adapa, why was it not under Akufo-Addo's regime? Manasseh Azure, when he did SMA, private investigators, Kiseh Jabin drives around in a bulletproof car. Does Manasseh Azure have bulletproof? Does the Fourth Estate have even 1/100th of the 1,000th of the resources the special prosecutor has? It's a ruse. It was just a convenient lie to allow a lot of the rot to go on. Is it any wonder that subsequent information is shown that Kiseh Jabin started the SML investigations in January 2025? Another blatant lie he told in the KSM interview. So I'll tell you, Sam, I'm happy you said that.
But they had the Manasseh Azure and his team, the Fourth Estate, who are insisting that the investigation started late, are the same who had published earlier that the OSP had begun the investigations.
Very good. Sam, back to the same answer. Based on the false information they were feeding us.
And before that, there were interactions between the Office of the Special Prosecutor and Ken Ofori-Atta. So it cannot be that the investigation was started late in January.
Oh, Sam, that's false. You see how their false statements are. I remember one clear statement Sami Dako, Director of Strategy Communication at the OSP, made on TV3, Saturday program. He confirmed to us that at the time Ofori-Atta was leaving Ghana, he had no knowledge that there was any pending case against him at the OSP. That's very clear. TV3, we can pull it out. I'm telling you, heaven and earth. He said, and that was not the only medium. There are other media in which he said it, that at the time Ofori-Atta was leaving Ghana, he had no knowledge that there was any case against him. I swear you.
We should look for that.
Yes.
But when you say he said he went to NIB and you have gone to NIB for evidence that he never contacted them.
Yes.
Is it not really the case, if you listen to the interview with KSM, that he was talking about the general situation at the time and not that he had personally spoken to or called or written to anybody?
I don't agree. No, I also watched the tape. I've watched it the second time. I don't agree. Even if you leave the NIB stuff aside, remember the other phrase he said? He said, we were powerless. A special prosecutor who doesn't appreciate the Constitution. The Constitution says the sovereignty of Ghana lies in the people of Ghana. So if you hit a roadblock, the meaning is that go to the sovereign, go to the boss. The boss is not the president of Ghana. The boss is the sovereign, and that's the people of Ghana. How do you reach the people of Ghana? Press statement, press conference. Didn't he do Ankwa Numa part 1 or Ankwa Numa press interview? He did it. So if you hit a roadblock like Martin Amidu did, and you see when Amidu did and said Akufo-Addo is a mother serpent of corruption, you see how it stuck forever, and Akufo-Addo never recovered from it. And Kiseh Jabin says he cannot appreciate this.
Martin Amidu said that, and we took that and ran around with it, regardless of whatever explanation the presidency had to give. Will that be fair? But my substantive question here is that when you say he was appointed by the Akufo-Addo administration because he was friends with Gabi and all of those things. It should not also be lost on us that within that same regime, he had a lot of difficulties, right?
Okay, so now let me come. The Martin Amidu one, yes, so his perception, Sam, just like the way you've held a very reputable, I mean, your reputation is huge in Ghana, you see it. So there are certain things that if you say it, and then another person says, people will go with yours. And it's not only in Ghana. Let me give you a quick example from the US. James Comey met with President Trump.
Yeah.
After their meeting, that was the first time that Trump, what Comey came and said, as against what Trump said, the people of America said, no, they are going with James Comey because generally he had built a high reputation. I've met him once, I mean, one of the ABA conferences in the US, saying him, yeah, he has such a huge reputation. So that's it on that one. Now, Sam, I'm no longer in for this business that he had great difficulties in the previous administration. I'm done. I'm no longer subscribing to that notion based on what Kisi Ejabin is done. The trust is gone. You sit down, deceive the public that you are busily investigating the SML case, and the diary of action shows the first entry as 29th of January 2025. Something is gone. Even before the SML, the diary of action came, I lost it the day he lied in the KSM interview, and that was before 5th of November, because I think I started reacting to that KSM interview on the 5th of November, and having been interviewed by KSM, I see that it's done at least a day before it comes out to the public. So from 5th of November, that was it for me. The moment he admitted, your special prosecutor says that he's powerless. So when he can inform the sovereign, the people of Ghana.
The question to ask is, are you being very fair to the special prosecutor?
Absolutely.
When you are ready to take information against him and the office, but you are not ready to take any information from him and his office.
No, Sam, that's why I said it's the record. Remember that as one of Kisi Ejabin's greatest cheerleaders, I was also always cheering him. This -10, consistent negative, well, it's not -8. This march for better accountability started only somewhere about 20th of October. That's when it started. But until then, except where he made elementary mistakes in applying for the freezing order in the Cecilia Dapa matter, and with hindsight, that elementary mistake, I'm beginning to suspect that it was deliberate, because every lawyer knows that if you are going to court to say you want to freeze certain assets, at least attach the bank statement for him to have gone out.
So to that issue about, we saw things in the public play out from the regime at the time. You could see what appeared to be like a coordinated, attack on that office.
No, I no longer subscribe. I'm done, Samson, I'm done. The moment
there were even about 2 suits that were mounted in the Supreme Court seeking to remove, to collapse the office at the time.
Those are legitimate. We all know Dr. Ayeni. One of them was Ayeni. So Ayeni said the retiring age. Yeah, so he was saying that Amidu was overage. It's a legitimate question.
No, I'm referring actually to the Ken Kratche, series of actions.
Yeah, that's no attack at all. It's no attack. Sam, I'm telling you that I no longer subscribe to that this baseless rumor that the previous administration was heckling him. I said that Manasseh Azure lived in that previous administration and did all those exposés. Even me, the NDA case, I went and reported it. And another reason I've lost trust, I even started saying it. But all this while, though I was dissatisfied, because we are human and we make mistakes, overall, I still gave him the benefit of the doubt and still supported him. But one of the first major things that gave me the doubt was that the NDA case, that's Northern Development Authority case, the persons he put before court, he didn't include the person who approved the transaction. That's Clara Napagatia Suleimana. Different from our beloved.
You complaining about this, even
because that lady has a special relationship with Akufo-Addo. Then number 2, the person who uploaded the information on the gift mix, I think Henry, I'm not sure if his surname is Marty, but it's certain Henry. And the chief director, how do you do such a thing and then leave them out? So it created great doubts. But at that time, you see, we are all maturing. So for me, I was like, okay, half a loaf is better than none. That's why I complained a few times and left it. But I see and then Martin Amidu wrote about the corruption in that office. Then they had to say, we should leave it. So it's been building up. So now I've had it. That's why I say, when I look back with her, and the lies Sami Dakuis told me.
There were about 2 petitions seeking to remove the special prosecutor. So it was obvious that the office was under attack. He himself was under attack.
It's not an attack. It's a legitimate case Martin Amidu had. One of them that I'm very sure. Martin Amidu says when you are employing public officers, okay, of a certain category, involve the Public Services Commission. It's a constitution. So it still beggars belief that case was thrown out by Justice Tokonu. I still beggars belief.
So people have asked questions. You have consistently, sought to find faults with the processes they file in court. Why? They do the investigations. They would know more and better than people who take who blow the whistle to them and so on. Why don't we give them the benefit of the doubt to get to the end of what they are doing before we make our commentary?
Sam, let's remember again. The time I started calling out Kissi Agyabin generally that he should go was about 20th of October this year. So until then, I was largely supporting him. So you see that even the affidavit, the motion he filed for freezing, where he didn't attach the bank statement, I said it's an elementary mistake, but I was still supporting him, except once in a while, the Dubois case, when he let out a Dubois, and I'm yet to sue the office. I'll sue the office over the statement that influence peddling is not part of our laws, etc. Yet, I criticized him for that one, but you see that subsequently, other issues came, I kept supporting. Even today, look, the day I went to Apostle Abraham Lincoln Labis Debu, he says the office should be scrapped. Yet, though I went there to support him, I said, no, only Kissi Agyabin be taken out, the office be maintained. But now that democracy is crowd wisdom, since parliamentarians all agree, I'll reserve my comment. It's crowd wisdom. Let Parliament decide, because Kissi has helped to bring all this. You don't mind if
this office is abolished?
Right now, look, let them debate first. So it's going to be a debate before a decision. So when we hear, because they say democracy is crowd wisdom, I think I've had my say. Let's hear the parliamentarians.
The crowd wisdom suggests that the politicians are afraid, and so it is in their interest for that office to be collapsed.
Let's hear the debates first, because until, like you told me earlier, you can't condemn a man until you've heard him. So Sam, from what we've seen, there have been periods I criticized him in the past, but overall, I've been supportive. The only time that now I said, no, I think it's enough, it was 20th of October, where I said, no, it looks like we've had it, so he should just generally, go. Yes, so that's what we should be saying.
There are those who say that you are interested in this office.
Oh, no. It's laughable. So you see, I've started laughing. It's laughable. About Sam, generally, so let's just go straight. No. Simple answer, no. But what should tell you that
the media had just reported yesterday that you said that you will be a perfect, replacement.
No, it's, what do you call it? They will paraphrase. You know how the media do certain things. Sometimes they will exaggerate. Sam, we all know that after leading these charges for his removal, for me, the optics will look bad. So, no. I've never...
Well, if you're qualified, why not?
I just think that having led the charges, saying that he should go, I should not be the one to replace him. And that's all my honesty. No, look, I believe in this thing that what is mine will come to me. That's not the office I've dreamt about. It's clear that someday I'll go into public office. It's very clear to me now. But not special prosecutor.
When are you, as it were, tendering your petition for his removal?
Yeah, now looking at the turn of events in Parliament, I think I have to just do it sometime next week. First, I've been holding off because I keep getting information. People are contributing information in drips and bits. But now looking at it, I think timing is very important. So I have to quickly put it in so that it can make its way to the Chief Justice.
It's an office of many people with senior staff, some of them lawyers. I know lawyers who are there who are senior to me at the bar. And they all work. He's only the head. Why is the target him? When in fact, most of what goes on, he's not the one who does them.
He's the one I have evidence against. So it's a question of evidence. I don't have evidence against the other people. So may I speak to evidence. That's a simple answer.
So your petition will be when again?
I think in the course of next week. We just have to stop and put it in next week. It shouldn't go beyond Wednesday. I think at this stage, we just have to put it in. Because
you are certain this is the end of the road for the SP?
Absolutely. When you see my dossier, you see that, oh yes, we've done some work. Yeah, we've done some work. Kisi Ejabi is not fit for that.
Martin Pebu, thank you very much for your time. And this has been a quick interaction with Martin Pebu, who has been leading the charge for the SP's removal and for change in that particular outfit. Let's see how things turn out. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. One of my challenges that I put to Martin Pebu has been that for a long time that he's been making this crusade and accusing the special prosecutor of corruption, we thought that he would have put the evidence of the corruption out there. So you would hear him give examples of acts that he thinks that Kisi Ejabi may have done. There was one particular one, and that is why I'm making this footnote. There was one particular one that you heard him refer to Dr. Kingsley Agyemang. The production took the view, that took quite a bit of the interview. The production took the view that we could not verify before this time the allegations that he had made about the people involved, because it was not only the special prosecutor, but other names that had been mentioned. We could not verify the allegations, and also for ethical reasons and for balance, that the people do not have the opportunity to answer to the charges he made against them, including the OSP, the special prosecutor. We had to edit that part of the interview out. So you would have heard it, but you don't hear the full details of what he refers to, saying that that is one of the points on which Kisi Ejabi must fall. Lastly, I reference a section 29.3. I meant to reference section 69.3, section 69.3 of the OSP Act. And section 69.3 says, a person who obstructs an authorized officer from performing a function under this act commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to some fines or to some terms of imprisonment that could be up to 15 months or 36 months of imprisonment. So I put that correction in there. But I told you earlier, my guests are ready, seated here in the studio. We have an extended version, so get ready to enjoy the show. My guests are ready. Kofi Bentil is right here in the studio. Kofi Bentil is lawyer and senior vice president of Imani Africa. You have heard him on this subject. Also, Samuel Appiah-Darko. He's lawyer. He's director, strategy, research and communications division at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Right here in the studio also is Yunus Afuseni, former MP, Tamale Central, former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. He also held a portfolio for roads as well. And he's here. We'll be joined by Manasseh Azure Awene, who is a freelance investigative journalist. Of course, he's on already, joining us via Zoom. Victoria Bright, international corporate lawyer and entrepreneur, also joins us via Zoom. Victoria has been doing a lot of things. In the course of the week, we heard about some position that she was voted into, and she's on boards doing the corporate work. I had told you that Martin's side of the story has been heard. We decided that we needed to hear the side of the officer that allegedly provoked Martin and insulted him. But eventually, we got an officer of the OSP who says to me that she witnessed the developments from the start, the altercation from the start to finish, and was part of those who tried to calm down tempers. An officer of the OSP that I know because I work as a lawyer and I go to that office and I meet them. But because of the sensitive nature of these officers and the work they do, we will not disclose their identity. So let's hear the other side of the story. The decision is for you. Which of the stories you believe?
When I got into the premises, in fact, when I was walking into the premises of the office, I noticed there was an interview being conducted by some guys from the media, Wassce, Mr. People.
Right.
I got into the premises. The officers on duty let me know that he was being conducted quite close to the gate, and then they asked him to move away. Mm-hmm. So I was still on the compound when he then walks in. Right at the gate, the men, let him know that anytime he comes to the office, once he parks, he's supposed to go straight to do his business. I can go straight to the reception.
All right.
That, this is not done here. They don't do things like this here. Mm. Now, his response was, he can do what he wants. They can't tell him what to do. And these men kept insisting that you can't do that here when you come here. So this is them being repetitive about the, notice they had given him. Mm. Next thing I know, it escalates into insults. There was the F word being used. There was the other ones, which, I'm sure he would have stated.
So what did you witness? Who abused who first?
The verbal abuse, I heard it from Mr. People. I heard Mr. People use those words. He used the F word, he used the other insult. Aside that, there was no physical abuse. It was the verbal abuse which I heard him use, which I heard from him.
Mm. So he must have been provoked, because it's difficult to believe that if he began the verbal abuse, then he wouldn't have done it without being provoked.
What I can speak to is the fact that these men kept insisting that they don't do that here. And his response was, I can do what I want. You can't tell me what to do. They stood their ground saying the same thing to him. And then there was a flare-up. What I heard is what I can speak to.
Mm. But this is, just for clarity, this is when Mr. Kwebu, as we understand the narration, had already conducted the interview outside of the premises or the entrance of the OSP and was now making a re-entry into the premises.
Yes.
So there shouldn't have been a problem then.
Again, when he made the re-entry, I think it's just due process that he be told that. I don't think there's anything wrong with the men letting him know what is supposed to be done on the premises and what would not be allowed. So this is them just cautioning him so that next time it wouldn't happen again, right?
Mm. But this protocol of yours that when people come into the offices, once they enter the compound and park their vehicles, they go straight to the offices, starting with the front desk, to be screened, and then they begin to see whichever officers they have come to see.
Yes, they are directed to go wherever, yes.
Right. People don't know, except for some of us who come there with our clients and have become familiar with it. So if it is not advertised, then he will not be in the wrong to park his car and then leave the compound to go conduct an interview and re-enter. So if he's making a re-entry, why do they need to inform him again after he had already conducted the interview outside of the premises as he had been told?
Now, like you're saying, maybe he didn't know. And I think it's only fair that the men let him know that this was not supposed to be done, because I assume it probably would have happened before. It may have happened previously. So I don't think there's anything wrong with being told, or I don't think there's anything wrong with re-echoing what is allowed and what's not allowed.
Okay. We'll leave it here. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome, sir.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.
What will you do when you win big? With over 2 million Ghana cedis up for grabs, transact more than 100 Ghana cedis with your Momo app, and you could win daily, weekly, and monthly cash prizes, and 100,000 Ghana cedi grand prize. Bank transfers, POS, and third-party transactions also qualify. This promo runs in collaboration with the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply.
His uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm
the second coming.
Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again?
Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or being late, of course.
You go give me the luckiest. Go from your job, be luckiest. From not the block, she be luckiest. Yeah, you go give me luckiest. No matter why you're lucky, everybody go be that luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Send your goddamn boom. If you're poor, what's that? So would the coming of the Son of Man be.
Hey!
Is that his car?
Ha! Even now, your shadow the way designer.
I use my own mouth to reject him. Oh, this is my mouth. Look at that.
Kwame, my son. Now, tell me the truth. How did this all happen?
Oh, mommy, simple direction. Mr. Good Luck no check me well. Yeah, mom.
Easy car. Or dial *712#. The devil is a liar. He picked his ticket and entered his lucky 5-digit number.
How much birthday?
Oh, how romantic.
And he followed the prompts. Yes. And then boom, confirmation test.
I'm quick. Pick 5 numbers for me, okay? I'm feeling like 7.
*712#. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the
You see how they love you now?
Yo, baby, our family can before December, may release a motivation album. Patapa, my super.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
There is something extraordinary happening. Something you won't want to miss.
A treasure that has been kept under wraps until now.
The wait is almost over.
Get ready to experience the unforgettable.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park. Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park. Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time, our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat, undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown cranes, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
What juice are you taking?
This is Koa Natural 100% cocoa fruit juice.
Can I have a glass?
Of course.
Koa Natural 100% cocoa fruit juice is not just your regular cocoa drink. This is an innovative juice made from the pulp of the cocoa fruit. Once the cocoa pod is harvested, the pulp, which would have been previously discarded, this time is set aside, and that is what is used to make your Koa Natural 100% cocoa fruit juice. Not only is Koa refreshing, the taste is incredible.
Wow. There's no added sugar, no additives, and no preservatives. 100% cocoa fruit juice. Don't worry, you won't be left out.
Wow, this is unbelievable. I would take this anytime, any day.
Please, you're on air. They were saying things, and I need to caution them. So we are back here. This is Newsfile, it's the most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. As we had already told you, 3 petitions, 1 purge. The Speaker and NDC MPs especially are crusading to scrap the OSP as the CJ removal still stinks. So what is going on? 7 petitions against EC heads. Is that reform or a pattern of partisan capture? The NDC's chairman insists the officers at the Electoral Commission, the heads, they are unfit for office. We will also make time to look at the over 50% failure recorded in the Wassce mathematics. Is it a collapse of standards or generational sacrifice? Now, let me have my guests begin to look at the issues. Send us your messages and we will share them with the rest of the world. So let's begin. I suppose that, yes, it's for a certain balance that we brought the OSP Communications Divisions Director here. But let me begin on this from Manasseh. Hi, good morning. Thanks for joining us, Manasseh.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Right. You would have heard call it the other side of the story. As far as the altercation at the offices of the OSP on Thursday is concerned, whose report do you believe, if you believe any at all?
What of the Lord? Samson, I think I would believe Martin Pebu over the OSP at this point. Why? In the past, I would not have believed or doubted information coming from the OSP, which is supposed to be a citadel of integrity. In your interview with Martin Pebu, you mentioned that the Fourth Estate published the report which said that the SML investigation started in 2023. That was an official report from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, which many media houses published. I did not have reason to believe or even suspect that such an honorable office might be lying in its report. Then, early this year, officials of that office reached out to me on the 29th of January, 2025. And the call was to the effect that you petitioned our office to begin investigating SML. We are about to start the investigation, and we think it is proper that we understand the petition. There are some backgrounds you may have which is not in the petition or which may not even be in the documentary, so tell us. So we scheduled a meeting, and that meeting came on the 31st of January. There was a follow-up email from the officer who was leading that charge, the investigation at the time. And this email came to me on the 5th of February 2025. And the email said I should provide them some information for, quote, the preparatory process for the investigation. And it was in line with the fact that they were about to begin. When I saw the nature of the evidence, what they were looking for, this was not, none of the people who were major targets in the investigation was involved. They just needed something from the periphery, which is fair, because when you want to begin an investigation of this nature, you start with the soft spot, at least get some information so that when you are contacting or reaching out to the targets, you know what you have. So that is there. Then I also intercepted a diary of action from the Office of the Special Prosecutor. And the first entry on that diary of action taken on the SML matter was entered on the 29th of January 2025 at 12:40 p.m. And it summarizes the story and then the nature of the petition. Then on the 30th of January 2025, there was an entry in which someone who is supposed to be a supervisor says or gives some instruction. And I'm reading that instruction to you. Please proceed with the preliminary, and I'm emphasizing the word, proceed with the preliminary investigations needs and prepare an investigation plan and identify the persons of interest we will need to interview and appropriate departments and agencies to provide information. Samida Ako, who is sitting in your studio, said that at the time Ernest Akori was leaving the country, the OSP did not know that he was a person of interest. This diary from the OSP shows that the persons of interest are identified at the preliminary stages of the investigation. Ernest Akori is mentioned in our documentary as having signed that letter for Ken Ofori-Atta. Ken Ofori-Atta is mentioned. Ernest Akori left Ghana in November 2024, towards the end of 2024, and this was about a year after we petitioned that office. If the office had done any work, it would have identified him as a person of interest. So, Samson, I'm saying to you that it is difficult to believe this office. This is the office. The last time Samida Ako spoke on your show, he said the office had saved $2.7 billion that would have been paid to SML. $2.7 billion translates into 30 billion Ghana cedis. I didn't say anything until he started to say that, well, they uncovered more. And I came up with evidence. And I spoke to the special prosecutor himself, Kisi Ajabeng, on the phone. And I told him that the entire contract sum for the SML, the 5-year contract, was $500 million, a little over $500 million. So where did you get this $2.7 billion from? He claimed that it was in the PPA approval. My argument is, if there was a PPA approval letter, but between the contracting parties, there is an agreement to pay something that is far less than the approval. Maybe you go to PPA, the method was the main reason they went to the PPA. So you say you are going to use a single source method to procure a car that is worth 500,000 cedis. They give you the method, but between you and the car dealer, it is 300,000 cedis. Kisia Jabin told me that Albert Akurubu, who led that SML investigation at the OSP, and Samida Ako think the way you think, but I think differently. But that is even not the case. In my investigation, I had a PPA letter And the letter did not in any place state the 2.7 billion that Kisia Jabin claimed. And then, eventually, I published the PPA letter and dared or challenged the OSP to also publish which letter they claimed. If you go to the OSP's website now, they have come back to the same figure, the 500 million that I mentioned earlier. So I'm saying this to make a point that if an office of this nature is coming up with information, it is difficult at this moment to just believe everything that they say.
Okay, so holding on there for me, Sammy, you just heard Manasseh Azuri. The reason he will not believe anybody in your office who says anything. And I had asked Martin Pebu the same question, that why is it that he seems to believe anything anybody tells him about the office, but he's unwilling to take what the office tells him? He's giving you the reason.
The first time I've had an encounter with Manasseh over this. There is a government WhatsApp group that we are on, and he brings this issue up and he's answered. In fact, as he said, he's had the opportunity to see firsthand some of the work that we have done. But I'll take it one by one.
Let's clarify first.
Yes,
it's not a government. It's not a government WhatsApp group.
No, I'm trying to say that
on that group.
I'm trying to say that it was created by the
people may get a wrong impression. Yes. It's not a government WhatsApp group. It's a WhatsApp group of independent minds, of CSO leaders, and people like you because of your offices, as in the key accountability institutions who are also there. OSP, Shiraj, Auditor General, even the Supreme Court has a representation, because we have been given a job to do, which is not influenced by the state.
The point I'm making is that it is created by the government because we are charting a new path on our anti-corruption policy.
And ethics.
So that's the point I'm making.
Thank you.
Let's go on. So let me start with this 2.7 that he doesn't appreciate. I think over and over, we have told Manasseh that there's a big difference between investigative journalism work, which I know how to do as well, and then criminal investigation. And that when investigative journalists do their work, like Anas does his work or he does his work, it's just a spark, which then gives law enforcement agencies some grounds to begin an investigation, and that their investigation may be more thorough and deeper than what you do. And so he should not be insistent as if what he found may be the ultimate truth. So OSP, and he just made a point that OSP has now changed something on his website, and it is completely false because OSP doesn't change things on his website. These are things that we have published, and it's public record. If you go on the OSP's social media account, you know the date it was published. And you notice that it was published way before Manasseh's issue about 2.7 billion. And it is simple because when the OSP was done with this work, we did the calculations based on how much SML would have earned if the contract had not been cancelled. And this calculation is based on a formula that PPA approved. And the formula is based on the 2023 figures for lifting for crude and for gold. Strangely, when it comes to, I think, crude or gold, they do the calculation in cedis. But we do know that everything is done in dollars. And then when it comes to the oil, they do the calculation in dollars. So when we did the calculation based on the 2023 formula, it came up to $173 million for, I think, gold and 2.6 billion cedis for oil. I don't know if I mixed them up, but these are accurate figures. So we already put that out very early and said that this is how much Ghana has saved by cancelling the contract. So it's not a Manasseh that has done any calculation or discovered anything or OSP has now put it up on its website. The dates are there and they are very clear. If I had time, I would have shown you the dates because I can check it immediately. Then we also, in the course of communicating, said that, well, although this is the amount, if you do the official calculation, we've stumbled on some documents that shows that in going to PPA, they had put a ceiling as to how much they would take within the 5 years. And it came up to $2.7 billion. And so it is wrong for us to even say that we saved the nation $173 million and 2.6 billion cedis. But then, because if we are not cancelled, they were going to work within the 2.7 billion. And when you look at the PPA approval, it didn't come with figures. It only came with formulas, right? It came with a formula that you use based on the 2023 liftings. But 2023 liftings could change. So we can understand why they had to put a ceiling of 2.7 billion, because the liftings could change at any time. And we were seeing that they were pecking themselves at the highest level, so that if tomorrow they say $2 billion, when you question, you say that, but they approved the formula based on the letter we gave you and approval. Now, what I think Manasseh is struggling is that he wants OSP to conduct the trial in the open, in the media. We have consistently said that this is a very sensitive case, a very complex case that has taken us almost 2 years or less than 2 years to complete. These are not things we can put out there. SML lawyers are listening. Every time they are sponsoring things on Joy, on TV3 and the rest, they are paying attention to some of these things. So in the criminal investigation and trial, there are certain things you can't just be talking about. But we're putting up the figure to say that even the 173 and the 2.6 billion, they are even low, because if the contract had continued, they were going to earn more. So that's about that one, and I don't know how difficult it is. Then the other one is that I've been wondering, what is it that Manasseh is seeking? You have brought an investigative report. They have taken the work. They've done it. 8 people, including Ken Ofori-Atta and Enasa Corey, have been charged. Now, your predicament, I don't know what the predicament is that we started the investigation late, and he has given dates, so I'm very happy. Now, he claims that he has a diary of action, which I mean, I cannot confirm or deny, because as he said...
It's a fact. I've seen it. He has shown it to me.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I cannot confirm it, because we know that
It's a diary of action.
Yes.
That obviously has been leaked.
I understand.
From your
that's
offices.
Why I'm saying that.
He's
that's
an
why I'm saying that.
Journalist.
That's why I'm saying that.
You know.
Okay. That's why I'm saying that he has a diary of action that he said that investigation started in preliminary in 29th. Let me give you one example to show how we tell him that he doesn't know how to do the OSP job better than the OSP. Ken Ofori-Atta, he was invited on the 24th. He quotes a diary of action and says that a supervisor says that start with preliminary and identify the people who we are going to investigate. And he says it was dated 25th.
Of January. 2025.
It tells you that...
And you say that you had written to invite Ken Ofori-Atta...
Even on 24th.
On 24th.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just giving these things to tell him that it's not as he thinks. So it's true that there's a particular team. A particular team may be assigned a task. The mere fact that...
In your law, you refer to them as panels.
Yes, panels, I understand. And then even before, it is not the supervisor of a team that will tell somebody to commence preliminary investigation. It is the SP. If you read LI 2374, it will tell you that after SP has considered the underground work that has been done, that is when he will commence a preliminary, he will say that they should go into preliminary and then full scale. Now, this is a very complex matter.
You're saying that by the time your officers reach out to Manasseh, that we are commencing preliminary investigations, some work would have been done.
A lot of work would have been done.
And so it is wrong for him to assume that that time was when the investigation started.
And I'm saying that for the team...
And that by that time, Ken Ofori-Atta had already left the jurisdiction.
Yes.
So you cannot claim that you were powerless and you would have, stopped him, because by that time, you had not even started investigating him.
Let me develop the point. So the point I'm developing is that it's the special procedure that would have given a team a job to do. If that team is given a job to do, say, go and pick something from Manasseh. The problem I think he's having that he's assuming that he's a star of the investigation. And so by the time he was called on the date he gave, 29th, that he should come, and a particular team talking to him, that's when we started. So that team could say that they are doing their preliminary works. But I'm saying that that preliminary works would have been done by the special prosecutor and then assigning teams. So if a particular team come to you and they use a language such as preliminary works, it doesn't mean that that is when they commence. And I'm saying that this is a complex case that the OSP had to bring in a lot of experts way early. And remember that the OSP too had to wait for the KPMG report to be done and then thoroughly assess it to be sure whether it answers all the questions. Do we need to continue, or the KPMG job does the work? The OSP in its half-yearly report, we continuously brief and say that we had considered the KPMG report. We have come to the conclusion that there's still more case to answer, so we will continue with our investigation. And this was way in 2024. If you read the June half-yearly report.
Manasseh and his team do the SML investigations and bring us the expose in 2023 of, was it November?
Yes,
or December?
And they filed the petition in
December of 2023.
And SML,
Wait,
the president...
You are saying that the president made an intervention asking for an investigation or an audit by KPMG. That ended sometime when? April of 2024.
No, it ended in March, but the report was finally out in April 2024.
And between that time, you are saying you had done some work. You didn't wait until 2025 to begin work.
Yes, so when they brought the report in I think it's either 25th of December or something, the president had appointed KPMG somewhere 29th, or I've forgotten the dates.
So
but
he's telling you that you have said, and when I spoke to Martin, he confirmed that, or he raised that issue as well, that you had said that by the time Ernest Akori was leaving Ghana, he was not a subject of investigation.
Thank you very much.
Wait, he was not a subject of investigation. Yes. So you should not be blamed that you watch him to go out.
No,
he is saying Ernest Akori left this country in November of 2024.
He's not saying we told him. A lot of the information...
Just hold on. Yeah. If he left at that time, in November of 2024, and by that time, he was not a subject of investigation or a person of interest, how do you convince us that in January of 2025, about 2 months later, Ken Ofori-Atta, together with him or whoever, were actually under your radar and you wanted to arrest them, but the powers that be, enabled their escape?
I don't think that we said we wanted to arrest, but I'll explain to you. So another point that Manasseh makes, which is so inaccurate, is the fact that he said something that because there was a letter that was signed by Ernest Akori, it means that, or he makes the point, and this is where I talk about this thing for glory. The fact that you do a documentary and you see a letter signed by a minister does not automatically mean that the minister has done something wrong. An investigation will need to go into it, because in criminal investigation, merely signing a letter authorizing payment.
But you eventually have charged Ernest Akori.
Yes, so I'm coming to the point. I'm coming. We charge Ernest Akori not based on the letter that was signed. And I said that these are you see, a lot of people have not taken time to read the investigative report thoroughly. I can understand it's voluminous, and these things will play out in court. That's why we said that at the time Ernest Akori left, he was not a subject of investigation, and that we won't shy away from it. Ernest Akori was not a subject of investigation. It doesn't mean that preliminary investigations had not started. And it doesn't mean that at the time of preliminary investigation, you discovered Ernest Akori. You have no idea when we were able to pin a lot of people.
Okay. So he raised these issues on a question of trust.
I understand.
And these issues are not exactly the subject for which I asked the question. So let me come to Kofi Bentil. Kofi, I said that, please hold on. You have spoken for quite a while, but I understand you had already told me that, Martin has spoken for too long, but you are here on a panel. Now, again, I asked that question I asked to Manasseh. Let's go back to the story we want to talk about today. Mm-hmm. Whose report do you believe? Why and why not?
I believe Martin. It does not even mean he's right in everything he's done. But I think he is within his rights. Those two things are different. He may not be right. He may ultimately be proven not to be right in the things he's done. But he is within his rights. And the OSP, as a public office, is not conducting themselves, at least to the standard that we expect, for instance. Let me just take what has just happened. You see, Manasseh says something. He says, you said at a point you couldn't stop these people because you were not giving help. That's one.
It's not true.
I beg you, let me finish. You couldn't stop them. You didn't get help.
We
then
never
you
said.
Oh, Master, let me.
No, I'm just saying that we never said.
I make my notes. Make your notes. Then you say at a point that you couldn't also have stopped them because they were not persons of interest. Because you, please, when look.
That's in respect of Ernest Akori.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sammy,
relax, please.
You lost me, even sitting here trying to follow you. So I think the public, you lost it. So you hear our little minds and correct us. OSP, you have a major case like this. The heart of Martin's problem is that you sat down for these people to leave, and for a year you were talking. I came onto this program to say they have not even been charged. We all have our issues. Then you say you couldn't stop them because at the time you hadn't started your investigations and you hadn't determined who were persons of interest. And Manasseh is telling you that we did work before you started and we named people and said things. In other words, you could have even looked at our work and had some idea of who to deal with. So if something you ask me, who do I believe? There are so many lapses and little flaws, and nobody is asking for anybody to be perfect. Okay, this morning, I'm batting for the OSP and saying we should not abolish the office. If even people make mistakes, we need the OSP. But you see, let's admit when mistakes have been made. And then let's see what to do to make them better. But to say that you couldn't have done anything about it, and then the same person comes and says that, oh, we tried to do something about it, but we were not helped, you don't make your work credible enough for us to believe. So the short answer to your question is, I believe Martin. I also believe Martin because of some of the other things that we're going to see, because the OSP's conduct is unbecoming. I think they are acting a bit lawlessly beyond their jurisdiction, and I think they are spending their energies on the wrong things. So look, I believe Martin, again, because he is within his rights.
Okay, on that specific
even if he's
issue,
not right.
On that specific issue, why? What is the problem? There are two sides to every story.
Even three.
Okay, there could be a third.
Mm-hmm.
So you have heard Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Did he even listen?
And when I went to interview him, this was one of the difficulties I had to express to him, because you are interviewing a friend. And then you are speaking to someone else that you also know on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And they are both telling you different situations.
Mm-hmm.
Why, like I asked Martin, why are you quick to believe one story and disbelieve the other story?
So the premise that we are quick to believe one story and not the other is not true. So I don't agree that. Like you said, we are friends. We have a certain level of trust for each other, and we also have more information than ordinarily. So it's not like I believe Sammy or I believe Martin or whatever. The thing is this, there are facts in front of us. Okay, Samson, I was on this program, and I made points that, look, I don't know why the OSP is not prosecuting Ken Oforiatta. And I put caveats before that to say, Ken is my mentor, my friend, and I took a lot of heat for it. And I was saying that I don't understand, given the information I have based in law, which I explained, that they could have gone ahead. Martin comes inside and says that, you two, given the information he has and all the things that are available to him, what he knows you know and other things, how could you sit for this person to also go? Manasseh also comes and says that, yes, even if you didn't know, we told you ahead of time. So we have pieces of information. We wait, and these things didn't happen now. They happened years ago.
Back to the Thursday altercation.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the Thursday altercation.
That shifts me forward.
No, I'm keeping you focused.
Okay.
Back to the Thursday altercation.
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody shown you empirical evidence to make you believe one against the other?
Yes. Yes. And let me disclose, I'm on Martin's legal team. I was on phone with him. Okay? So I have that information. Has anybody shown me anything? Yes. And I have also found out other things. On Thursday's issue that happened, for instance, number one, I have said, and I repeat, the OSP had zero jurisdiction to arrest Martin Kpebu. None. If you look at the OSP law, it is a limited institution.
Again, you're going to the law rather than
No. I'm explaining. Let me explain. Has anybody shown me anything? I'm saying I have spoken to Martin, who has given me the narration that he's giving everybody. I was on the phone. I was supposed to be with him that day. He said he'll go with only a few people. I said, fine. I was backing.
So is the narration without more?
The narration, there is more. There is the
Tell
narration.
us about the more.
The more is that Martin didn't do anything to obstruct the OSP.
No, that's narration. What is there more? Supposing you were a judge sitting in your court, and then Martin came to tell you that story, that the person called me stupid, and I replied back. And then a witness says, I was there, I saw everything. Martin was the one who had used F words, blah, 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 and then he was prevailed on to stop. It was not the officers who rather did this. As a judge,
as
what balance will you do?
As a judge, you have facts and you have law. Facts are that there was a verbal altercation, and then you have law. What does that mean in law? How did the verbal altercation come about? Martin goes in and parks his car, and then goes outside because there were journalists calling for him, and he goes and speaks to them. In the course of speaking, he even moved them beyond the point, trying to clear the space for the OSP. In other words, avoid trouble with the OSP. He finishes and walks back into the space. When he walks back into the space, he's accosted by an officer working under the OSP, telling him that, what right do you have?
Accosted?
Yes.
As you have been told?
As I've been told, of course. I said I wasn't there, I was on the phone.
Thank you.
Yes. So he's asked, what right do you have to come and park your car here and go and give an interview outside? Next time you come, who allow you to do those things? And Martin's like, what right do you have to tell me that I can't park my car and go and give an interview? After all, you invited me to come and help you. I am not under investigation, and I can't have the interview here, all right? So I just parked my car to come and give you the information you are looking for. But I had to just speak to these people, and I went outside and even shifted beyond.
So my question is, what is your basis of believing that narration against the other narration that says all the officers did was to caution and say, please, we don't do this, don't do it here again. And that they didn't insult, they didn't do anything, but it was rather Martin who held insults at them. How come you believe one against the other?
Even your witness said there was a verbal altercation and that it was Martin who started it. So it is, Martin said they started it. They said Martin started. Now, just listen to this if you were a judge. Why would Martin walking back into the OSP start a verbal altercation? It is a matter of fact, clear and not controversial, that it is the other party who spoke to Martin first and said, why did you go and give an interview? That's where it all started. Why did you go and give an interview? We can agree on that, right? And Martin is like, why should you ask me why I should go and give an interview? You can't curtail my right to give an interview. That's where it started. So if I'm a judge, looking at the facts, I'll say, given this fact, it is Martin who was provoked. Because walking out to give an interview and walking back in, on video you could see him walk back alone, was not a provocation nor an obstruction of the OSP's work. But the gentleman accosted him and said, why did you go and give an interview? What makes him think he has a right to tell the citizen when to talk and when not to talk?
Do you think the officers will ask him, why did you go out and give an interview?
Well, yes, that's what they asked him.
You think they will do so?
Yes, that's what they asked him. I don't think they should do so. And that is where I think the OSP should properly educate their frontline people. But one, I have no reason not to believe Martin. And two, all the narrations have not, controverted that fact that it is he who asked. As to who started the insult.
There's a narration that has controverted, except that you don't want to take that.
No. I'm saying something, and I'm saying here, let's conclude. When Martin returned into the OSP, he was questioned first. He didn't question. It stands to reason. He didn't go back and say, hey, I'm going to give an interview. When he entered, he was accosted and said, why did you go and give an interview? That stands to reason.
Okay, let me come to you, Nusa, here. Vicky is on the line with us too as well. So, sorry, I'm if it is limiting, because I just want us to focus. We want to deal with this aspect briefly and then move on to the call from Parliament. And we'll hear the Speaker and all the others for the office to be scrapped. And that's up here, all of you here don't like that idea. But before we get to this aspect of it, of the altercation that led to the arrest, and Kofi Bento will make the point that they completely don't have the power to do what they did. Sammy mentions something. Are you worried? As a lawyer, I have thought about it, that Manasseh is the guy, together with his two other colleagues at the Fourth Estate, who do the investigation and blow the whistle on this issue. And they have some evidences they have to use to support, and a petition is presented. What it means is that they are likely to be among the primary witnesses to help the state to nail the quote-unquote, those who have been accused. If they are fighting publicly about accuracy of figures and things, how does that impinge on the potential trial?
Not even the trial, the investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are still investigating the matter. Even though they've charged some persons.
8 people.
8 people. The investigation is still continuing. And investigations don't close even after conviction. Because if they come into new evidence, they can reopen. So that is why investigative journalists and people who have invested in uncovering corruption in a country have to at all times be prepared to cooperate.
And also be given deference.
With the investigative institutions or with the institutions, state institutions that have been set up to deal with the matters in which they have invested. They need to be that collaboration. In fact, in some jurisdictions, these investigative journalists need not tell you that they have sent their report or what they have uncovered to the state agency. Because they are also interested in protecting themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, there are many, because...
That's why we have the Witness Protection Act.
Witness Protection Act is when even that investigator is prepared to come forward as a witness. And there's fear that harm can come to him. So he comes under the Witness Protection Act.
I have led Manasseh to the court before on criminal issues, and I know how sometimes we have to get a judge to agree to smuggle him through a process because you definitely become a target. And these stories, they end up collapsing, big enterprises, but the investigative journalists who did the story should not sit idly by when the prosecutor is doing things that they suspect will botch the trial.
Exactly. Yes, I agree entirely with you. That's why he's invested the time and effort.
Yes.
It is not the institution that gave him money to embark on the investigation in the first place. So he's a public-spirited person who thinks that he must help the state in a way as to ensure that we don't dissipate our resources in ways that don't bring us benefit. So he invested his private resources. So the least state agencies can do is to collaborate with them. I agree with you.
And give them deference.
I agree. And even the exposing himself to that level of danger and risk requires that anybody working with an investigative journalist must accord him to a level of deference and appreciation for his work. So I have no problem with Manasseh. I think that the approach of the special prosecutor should be that these are partners.
Yes.
These are collaborators. These are persons we necessarily have to work with. In fact, these are stakeholders.
That's what the OSP has been doing.
No, you understand. So that is the way they should approach the issue. And it's a stakeholder. First, they are citizens of this country. So they have a general interest in ensuring that this country is run well and that people do not fleece the resources of this country. Two, they have a specific interest because they have been trained. And when they see corruption, they want to fight it. Okay? Yeah. And so you must accord them that kind of recognition. You must cooperate with them.
Kofi says deference.
Deference.
That's a high level of respect.
Respect. So that they can... because many things go. Can you imagine... Sometimes we come into evidence of some impropriety. But you ask yourself whether
you can boldly claim to be the person who is making that information available. Sometimes, so it requires courage, conviction, and purposefulness to be able to openly admit that I'm the person who has done this.
And sorry, even a wide latitude for mistake. Because you are not God. You are investigating and you see in part. So you see, it's very sad that you have people like Manasseh who put themselves physically
in harm's way.
And then you end up arguing with them.
You don't have to argue with them.
No.
Okay,
so
they can argue privately, but not
privately.
Yes. Why do you think they are arguing publicly?
Because the private arguments have broken down. And I think there's a difference there.
They're arguing privately because
let me just add.
No, they're arguing privately because they appear to be some fight for theft and recognition.
Thank you.
That's why they are arguing publicly.
Fight for theft and
recognition. Who is the person who uncovered this thing?
I disagree.
No. In fact, that at the root of the whole thing, the discussion.
When the SP did the report, he acknowledged the three journalists.
Yes.
Manasseh, Adobia, and...
So he acknowledged them, but he didn't acknowledge them in a way that satisfied the journalists.
Oh, you think that's what the...
Yeah, I think that's...
Just a quick one.
Okay, hold on. Manasseh is right here.
Okay.
Manasseh.
I don't think...
I'm not denying you. He's put his hand up many times.
Me.
No, hold on.
It's okay.
Manasseh,
fear and
is lack of proper recognition a problem for you and your colleagues over this matter?
And the entire country knows how this story came about. I don't think I'll need anybody to recognize me. The OSP did the recognition, and I even quoted it on my Facebook. I granted interviews and praised the OSP for the work done on this SML thing. The beginning of the fight is that I was pained when I heard Kissia Jabin say certain things that were not true. So and it had nothing to do with the story we did. It was about he and the office being powerless. So I spoke to all the security agencies, including immigration, and put the information out. If there's any suggestion of theft, the man sitting in your studio responded and said that, look, even your petition, your story didn't link Ken Ofori. It is our investigation that identified Ken Ofori as a key figure. It is our investigation that identified 2.7 billion. You just said 100 million. So that is where this argument went public. And before it went public, I engaged Kissia Jabin. And if Sami Darko would remember, before we published the SML investigation, I called him that this is what we are coming up with because I recognize collaboration. So he put me, I was at Harvard at the time, and I remember exactly where I was before I made that call. He, myself, and Kissia Jabin, I said, look, we are about to publish it. We will come to you, but I know we need to work together. So these are the things I want you to know. I would never give that. When I'm publishing a story, I don't tell anybody, even at Joy when I was there. Sometimes it was only between me and the editor, but I opened up to them. During the investigation, when I was home, I would go to the OSP in the evening. There were times I met the investigation team and the director of prosecution, and we all discussed. I gave them views. So it has never been the case of a theft war. Okay. If there's anything, it is someone who is sitting in your studio saying that I am glory hunting. And he made a similar comment this morning.
All right. Manasseh, thanks for the clarity. Thank you very much. Now hold it there. And then I come to you, Sami. And as Manasseh is referring to, let's not also forget that the OSP's own regulations, interestingly, Regulation 1, Sub-Regulation 1 requires the OSP to work with investigative journalism reports or sources. Yes.
Yes, so rightly as has been discussed, I think that the OSP has been very collaborative with Wassce to the extent that we even went ahead to give him another story which had to do with the airport, SML at airport. So we work with him, as he said. The special prosecutor has always opened up to Wassce and discussed things with him. We had intelligence that Wassce was going to go out and contradict us. Then people came in to intervene and said that, can the SP give him the opportunity? The SP was very busy at the point, but he gave Wassce 1 hour of telephone call and explained to him why his view is not accurate and that he should be patient because, one, he was going to be one of the witnesses, not a key witness. Because remember, this is an extensive investigation that has a number of witnesses. So he should be patient, and that if he's patient, all these things can be taken care of. And that's why he makes mention of a telephone conversation with the SP, where the SP has said that when we had a conference, myself and the director for asset recovery that did the investigation has said that we think that we should limit the figures to only the one that, the formula that we have calculated. And the SP was of the opinion that no, in criminal law, when a person has an intention to actualize a figure, it means that that figure would have been actualized anyway. And so that is what they were intending to do. So that was just a minor incident that the SP explained to me. It doesn't mean that's all. But the one I want to clarify before that is that...
Quickly, I'm going to... Yes, yeah. Right.
I'm saying that...
But I'm not forgetting that you had not spoken about the altercation.
Yes.
Warranted or not.
Yes, which
side of the story?
I'll finish quickly. I'm saying that it is never accurate to say that the SP on KSM show said that he sought intervention from the security agencies and they did not provide. I've always said that when people are led by their own belief and go and make inquiries from the security agent, they tell you that OSP didn't do anything. That does not mean that that's what the OSP has said. The OSP has said that it was pointless to try and stop Ken Ofori-Atta because he had been given the highest clearance of the land based on medical reasons to go. But we had intel that when Mr. Ofori-Atta travels, he was not going to return. But that intelligence is not one that you can even take to court because what is it that you are supporting it with? And I'm saying that with hindsight, just 1 minute, with hindsight, when we even said Mr. Ofori-Atta was not that sick and that he just doesn't want to come, I noticed that a lot of people had disagreed and even said it's not true. But with hindsight, they have now come to the realization that what the OSP said in the beginning is true, that Mr. Ofori-Atta is not willing to come to Ghana. And so when you have that hindsight and you go... I'm coming, this is the last one. So if you go to NIB and you say, did SP come to seek help? SP never said he had gone there.
I put that to Martin because I also watched that interview. And I asked Martin beyond that interview. I asked him because there was information that we were all privy to, which the SP had been referring to, which was that in 2024, or for a large part of the regime, call it the latter part of the NPP regime, the OSP's office was treated almost like a persona non grata by the other, investigating institutions. So I asked him that question. You heard me ask him that he knew about the situation. And he said he doesn't believe that anymore because that was an attempt by your office to tell us things that didn't exist. Right. So in the KSM interview, it is, from where I sit, apparent that he was referring to the general situation at the time, and not that he had written to any place.
Yes, please. That's the point
spoken
I also
to anybody
wanted to make.
Yeah.
So they don't take it out.
Quickly before I go to Vicky Bright, the altercation. What do you say about it?
Well, so you see, generally, as a person who will uphold the fundamental rights of persons against state institutions, I'm predisposed to saying that, well, the arrest and detention of Martin Kwibu based on the bail conditions granted him appeared to be onerous and was not excessive and not the kind of bail conditions that you will extract from an offense of misdemeanor. And so it was somehow heavy-handed, while recognizing the fact that all persons, when they appear before investigative bodies, have a duty, a civic responsibility to conduct themselves in such a way as not to bring themselves within the ambit of the law to necessitate their arrest.
Did he do that?
So, well, I'm just saying generally. Yeah. That's why I said generally.
Specifically.
Yes. I'm not going to go into. You see, I won't put myself. No. I won't put. I'm not counsel to
Martin People. He has said he's a lawyer for Martin People.
I'm not.
He's part of the team. That's why he's.
But he's a lawyer for Martin People.
And I'm not also part of the OSP. I'm a dispassionate observer.
Okay.
If I immediately transport myself into giving value judgments in a matter of this nature, then I'm allowing my prejudices to overtake, because I must be able, I must have the facts.
Thank you.
In such a way that I can make a reasoned conclusion and deduction from what happened. I'm just saying that generally, and we are all lawyers here, we know the overreach of the state. We know state power can be used to suppress dissent or to deal with people who are unnecessarily troublesome. State power can be used. So lawyers, our training teaches us that whenever there is an altercation, there's a problem between the state and an individual, you must rush to the aid of the individual because of the overbearing influence of the state. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, using that principle, I'm tempted to believe that Martin People should not have been handled that way. As a private individual, what force has he? What power has he? He's mentioned soldiers standing at the gate. Martin People was not accompanied by policemen, let alone soldiers. So you can demonstrate the presence of the state, even at the OSP's office. So who will not in his mind think that, well, the power was so overbearing, and and if it is the breach of section 69(3), it's a misdemeanor.
That's correct.
And that section is repeated in all, laws.
Law enforcement
acts.
But it was not a breach.
What I'm saying, I'm not even. You're putting value judgments. We're not there yet.
He's lawyer for Martin. So you must understand.
We're not there yet.
He's here too.
Now, so when you look at that and stand with Martin People, you must also advise citizens, okay, that yes, when you are invited, and Martin says it clearly, when you are invited to assist in investigations. You must at all times be alive to your civic responsibility to assist in the investigation without unnecessarily creating a fuss.
Right. I return.
And let me tell you, when we lost 2016, you know the number of times I appeared before investigative agencies? Mm-hmm. Did you ever hear me?
No.
This one comes
no idea.
Yeah, I was Minister for Roads and Highways.
You bought the drones
No, I didn't buy the drones. I was Minister for Roads and Highways, a very senior cabinet minister. I appeared several. They wanted information.
It comes to the territory.
And so they will invite you.
Well, as we understand, even in this regime, there are people who are appearing before investigative bodies, but they are not saying anything. And,
they don't go
and
with
I can
media.
testify to that too, because I had just said in the interview with Martin that the week before I was at the OSP with a client.
And nothing happened.
Nobody,
nothing happened.
Thank you. But thank you. Thank you. But I want to thank you for that spirit where you go to the support of the individual, because the power of the state can be used against the individual so badly. And that brings to my mind the Occupy Jilobi House when the Democracy Hub demonstrators were being harassed. You drove from wherever you were, went to the police station to assist them. My firm were in court supporting some of those who were violated, and he generously agreed to testify to support the vulnerable people. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Let me now go to Vicky Bright. Thank you very much for joining us from wherever you are, whether it's morning or not, like Manasseh Azuri. It's definitely not morning yet, so you people are doing a good sacrifice. And congratulations on your new position.
Thank you very much, Samson. And I just want to thank all those who voted for me wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Right. What's the office again?
Is Vice President for the Chartered Institute of Restructuring and Insolvency Practitioners of Ghana.
Congratulations, congratulations. Okay, so what do you have to say about the first part of the discussion we have done so far?
Well, I think like everyone else, I believe that I feel very strongly about this whole Martin Kpebu thing, just like all of us. The OSP, in my mind, had no business arresting and detaining him and asking him to justify the bill with landed property in his own name. I mean, I think that was excessive. And that act is naturally of great concern to all of us citizens due to its implications for our personal freedoms and our human rights, and in a wider context, democracy even. Because we cannot be intimidated or traumatized by our public institutions. And after all, if it is the case or that he's not respecting rules, then why didn't they just ask him to leave and come back when he's ready to respect the rules? I mean, they could have just done that. But what happened seems to be using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. And as has been said just now, the power was so disproportionate. And so I think, we need to be careful. I also want to comment on investigative journalism. For me, Manasseh and the Fourth Estate and all our investigative journalists should be commended and celebrated and also protected, because they put themselves at risk every day for Mother Ghana. So I personally salute them, and I think all Ghanaians should.
In fact, they put themselves at risk perpetually.
Perpetually.
As lawyer for Manasseh, I can tell you it's not an easy thing to do. So that even just acting for him as lawyer, having accosted at the car park in the court's premises, and people like that, they will do a story today, but there will be people who will be looking for them forever. Because parents, wives, husbands, businesses, family businesses would have gone, So
Yes.
Thank you for that.
And these are powerful people, that they are trying to bring down.
Yeah.
Because the monies involved are not small monies. So I salute them, and we should all do what we can to support and protect them.
Right.
So I think that, we need to tread with caution in all these arguments. As at the same time, we need to tread with caution because of the implications for governance and democracy. And I'm talking about scrapping, the office of the special prosecutor. We must also distinguish between the office holder and the institution itself, because emotions flare up when you hear about abuse or what we believe is abuse of power in the way Martin and others may have been treated. And then we say, oh, bring the whole curtain down. And we must not throw the baby out with the bathwater. The OSP is one of the most important institutions for democracy and anti-corruption in Ghana.
Okay.
And so I think anything we do to either weaken or remove it risks undermining public confidence in governance and our accountability mechanism. However, if it is also the case, and we don't know this yet because it's been examined by the CJ as we speak, but if it is the case that their leadership is truly failing, in other words, they are mismanaging things, they are abusing power, they are being ineffective, then that also undermines public trust and confidence. So for me, the debate raises a deeper question. How can constitutional bodies be held accountable whilst at the same time preserving institutional independence and fostering public trust from all of us? These ongoing petitions and any follow-up removal processes, we don't know how it's going to go. It may be that it stops and the CJ says, forget this, leave him to do his job. It may be that it could go on to the next few stages of that. But we need to be cautious in how this is done because it could also set a precedent for how other constitutional oversight bodies are treated in the future.
As we understand, Vicky, there are petitions against almost all the independent constitutional bodies, their heads. There are petitions to Shraj, There are petitions against NCC bosses. So are you beginning to see what the MPP had warned us in respect of the Chief Justice's situation, that this may become the new way to remove people who don't belong to us in a particular party, when they are in offices that the president does not have the power to just sack, when they win power?
I think we need to be cautious to also, categorize it as such. As for the Chief Justice's situation, we've kind of, it's been well traversed and cogitated and discussed, and I don't think we should mix the two. What I would say is that it is very, very important, because of all the toing and froing and the hula baloo about Article 146, which we had with the Chief Justice. It's very important to ensure that everything is seen to be above board, so that there are no accusations of orchestrated orchestrated removals by political elements.
Right.
So that's what I would say about that.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
You made this comment. I thought you should expand it further. When they required landed property in the accused or the suspect's name, so to speak, we have seen that in the last, few days, people who are going to Ioko, wherever, this has been used against them. Is it a wrong thing?
Well, it's not a wrong thing per se, as a general proposition, but I'm just looking at what Martin Pebu was saying.
Why is it not wrong? Because if the poor person who doesn't have a house, doesn't have land, when they get arrested, then how do they get bail?
I think you have to look at the kind of people that Ioko is dealing with and the monies involved and all of that. I don't have a problem with certain kinds of people being asked to do that. But of course, you cannot ask, not everyone owns a house. Not everyone has landed property. So if you make that as the sole bail condition, then you are going to seriously undermine people's freedoms. So that will not work. But if you are alleging someone to have done the things that they are alleging people to have done, and you're asking them to bring properties in their name, then I think it is fine. At the same time, it is important that they are also given an opportunity in the alternative to bring other properties. If someone else is willing to stand as surety and justify it with their own property.
In this Kenoforiata situation where we say we have allowed him to run away, do you get the impression that we may be doing something wrong? We seem to have pronounced him guilty even before the matter is gone into.
The difficulty with this whole thing is that Ken is not making himself available. He's not coming back. So other people traveled and they came back. Gift Yoweri and others, they traveled and they came back to the country. So as long as you're out of the country and now they'll be formally charged, if you don't show up to defend yourself, then, people would think that you have something to hide. So for me, if you're accused and you know you're innocent, then you show up and you stand tall and you defend yourself. That's what you should do. But if you don't show up, then it suggests that, there's something wrong. And of course, there was a time when he was having medical treatment. I can't hear you.
To carry on the discussion as if he's already guilty. That's not a basis to, the fact that he's not available, it's not a good basis for that kind of presumption, including by lawyers like yourself, that he's guilty already. It's not right, is it?
Presuming Ken is guilty. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. So I'm not making that presumption. What I am saying is that if you're accused, and all of us, if anyone is accused of anything and they are refusing, or they are seen or perceived to be refusing to come and defend themselves, then people ask questions. I mean, people are just human, aren't they? But of course, for us lawyers, we work with facts. We work with facts. So for me, everyone is innocent until proven guilty.
All right.
Ken should come back and prove his innocence.
All right. Thank you very much, Vicky Bright. I will need to go on a break now. But before I do that, I had already hinted the two of you have been actually arguing involved in a heated debate as to you say there's no basis, no grounds at all. The OSP doesn't have power to do any such arrest.
The OSP had no jurisdiction to arrest Mr. Kpebu. Let me explain. The OSP's Act makes it a specialized institution. It's in the law, specific to arrest, to investigate and deal with corruption-related issues. Public persons and politically exposed persons under the authority of the AG, and has been given some police powers to exercise pursuant to that. If you read their Article 63, the obstruction part and that kind of thing, it is if in the
Section 69.3.
69.3, in the course of their duty, if you obstruct them, then they can cause the arrest, etc. If somebody walks out of your office to go and give an interview and walks back in and is accosted and is involved in a verbal altercation with a police person, that does not constitute an obstruction of that investigation, because he is not even an investigation. You invited him to come and help you to do your investigation. So where is the obstruction? Look, the questions are simple. Who did Martin obstruct? All right? Was Martin under investigation under the law of the OSP? Who arrested Martin? Was it the OSP or the soldier or the police? These are the questions that must be answered. And then let us appreciate this. Martin has every right as a citizen to say whatever, that's the law, he wants to say about a public official. If the public official feels aggrieved, he should sue him in defamation. Martin does not have to be right to be in his rights. But then he can make those petitions to the president. The president can look at it and throw it away. He has committed no crime.
So your point is that in this circumstance,
there was no obstruction of the OSP.
69.3 was not
absolutely
occasion.
Not. If you give me,
but not that the OSP doesn't have this power.
No,
that's what you're saying.
The OSP doesn't have this plenary power. A plenary power means a power like a police power to arrest anybody for any kind of obstruction. The OSP may only arrest somebody who obstructs their work directly. Martin was not even part of that. Okay. And did not even obstruct their work.
Right.
That's the point.
Thank you.
I think that he's gotten everything completely wrong.
Read 69.
No, wait. When you are talking about
you
like him. Okay. Section powers of the office.
You are telling somebody he
yes, because he reminded me when I wanted to.
Okay, now you to stop.
Powers of the office. Office of the Special Prosecutor. Section 28. Officers to exercise police powers. The Special Prosecutor and authorized officers shall exercise the powers of a police officer specified in the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act 1960, Act 30, or any other enactment. So if you are talking about plenary powers, is there? That's one. No, that's just one provision.
So the powers given to the police under the Act 30 for them to arrest on suspicion and so on and so forth. This is what you are reading, that the law says they have it.
They have it.
Okay.
They have it. Number, the section offenses relating to search, seizure, and obstruction of authorized officer. That's 69. Okay. The 69.3 says that a person who obstructs an authorized officer from performing a function under this act commits an offense and is liable to summary conviction in the case of an individual for so and so and so. Now, so they have those powers. And we gave them those powers. And he was there when the law was being crafted. We gave them those powers because we were creating the office of the special. You know, one day you asked me what is different, and I said, well, we are talking about a special prosecutor. We gave him those powers. Those powers are general in nature. Now, in the William case, a member of parliament interfered with the military in the exercise of their mandate or function as NIMOS. He was arrested for interfering.
The cause of it.
Obstructing a public officer in the performance of the functions of his office can manifest itself in the form of intimidation. Intimidating a public officer from carrying out his function. It can manifest itself in that way. Okay, so you see, I'm not saying that Martin did that, but I'm saying that the special prosecutor, can you imagine? In fact, the kind of interpretation he's putting on the powers is very, very dangerous. Can you imagine somebody drives into the office of the special prosecutor? The investigation has not started.
Yeah, he's not even a suspect.
He's not even a suspect. And he begins destroying the tables and furniture and what do we do?
Seriously.
What do we do? Do we say that because he's not subject to corruption or corruption related, he has not committed, and the special prosecutor has no power to arrest
him?
This power is in the nature of the power in Section 10 of the Criminal Procedure Act of an individual. A crime is being committed in your presence. Are you a police officer?
Okay, so
but you have the power to arrest that person.
Because you are very, nuanced, not to make value judgments.
Yes.
I want to ask generally, will an altercation like insults, exchange of insults, constitute obstruction?
Well, an altercation in the form of insults within the context of the criminal law and criminal jurisprudence is acts conducive to the disturbing public peace. So generally, that doesn't come under the offense of obstruction. And that is why I'm saying that even if the special prosecutor had cause to act, probably that was not how he should have responded.
Okay, quickly, you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to say that let's not make this about Martin Pebu. Because as we have known, it's a security agency and there are rules and procedures to follow. When it's not just him as a person, there have been other people who have been to the office where they tried not to follow procedure and rules and they were placed under arrest. So it's not peculiar to him. But the point I also want to make that it is not true when they say that he just came in, went out to do an interview and just returned and then he was accosted. It's not true. What happened was that he comes always with his media team and he comes and park inside the office and go and do the interview. Now, when he does the interview and is closer to the facility, the men and women there are able to tell him that move away. He's even able to move away further. And the way he even moves is still part of the security premises, but they leave him to be. But this time, when he was returning from the account...
Before the return, hold on. On this occasion, we see that he has gone in, parked his car.
Yes.
And then the journalist who covered is Joy FM journalist, Fatal. You see the journalist running from outside and shouting his name and calling him out.
You didn't bring them.
Okay, so they call him out. He comes... They are doing the interview, and you can see that somebody is asking them to move. And then you see that it is rather Martin Pebu who is telling the journalist, let's move further. And they move further away.
Yeah, because every time he comes there and with his media persons, he's told to move further away. And they said there's a yam seller, I think Manasseh was spreading all along, where it's all the way to where the yam seller is part of the OSP enclave. But the whole idea is that he's been told that it's not appropriate. You can even go to the conference center after you are done or before you enter and grant your interview at the conference center and tell the whole world that I'm entering OSP and I'm going to do ABCD to them. It's okay. But I think the point we are making is that when you enter a law enforcement agency premises, you must follow the procedure, even if it's not written, and they tell you. So when he returned, the officers were just informing him that, Chief, these are procedures you need to follow. And then he is retorting that he's not going to follow. I get the point, but I'm just saying that I don't think we should limit this to only Martin, but just to educate Ghanaians that when you enter a law enforcement premises or any security premises, there are procedures you need to follow. Okay. And when they direct you, please follow it.
Let me just advise Amidako. I mean, in this business of yours, and in any other business, there are people who come to your premises to provoke you.
I get that.
So you must have the patience of...
I think they did that.
Don't intervene. Don't intervene.
No, I think they did that.
Don't interrupt him, please.
You must have the patience of a tortoise.
I think they didn't
to walk the longest distance.
Yeah, they did it.
With such people. Your explanation seems to give me the impression that Martin was becoming excessively fussy with the special prosecutor, and so you clearly were exacerbated. I mean, you were antagonized in a way that clearly made you overreact to his constant provocations.
Honorable,
that's what it gives me.
Honorable, just one bit to say that, you see, the men and women at the front desk have been well trained.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. No, you're not getting another bite. Hold on. Thank you. This is Newsfile. This is your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile, what we do is we put Ghana first. And is brought to you by the kindest sponsorship of Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and close as a partner. MTN everywhere you go, Wassce University educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. I mean, Wassce University, that environment is out of this world.
It's just discipline.
Yeah.
It's just discipline.
Beyond the discipline, I'm talking about the lush environment, the green, you know.
Are you aware? They're destroying the whole
yeah.
It's discipline that is letting you appreciate the lush environment.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that environment is a range.
Right.
But somehow that place, they are disciplined. So you see.
Right. So that's Wassce University. They are educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way Insurance, dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntax Tank, it's strong, it's tough. Activa International Insurance, our clients are passion. International Facilities Management Association, they are proud to be associated with your most authoritative news analysis platform, Newsfile. Safari Valley Eco Park, that is where you should be this holiday season, bringing you closer to nature. Valex Lease, your affordable documents management solutions. You don't need to buy, a copywriter, photocopier. Just lease it, and then they will take care of your business for you. Gold Board Jewelry, pure, precious, and proudly Ghanaian. I will take a quick break. When I return, I can assure you that tons of messages you have shared, will share some of them with the rest of the world. But before that, Clement Akapam says, Senior Inusa, such clarity and impartial exposition. Thank you very much. And another lawyer, Ken Anku, says, Inusa is spot on. He read the controlling provision, unlike Bentel, who got it all wrong on the score. We'll be right back.
The Office of the Special Prosecutor has abused his powers in this matter. And I will not hesitate to say that this house, we created the office. And the Office of the Special Prosecutor, if he continues to abuse his powers, then we may have to abrogate it. We place this matter on record that this house, we shall be inviting him to come and brief the house.
Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, like we say in Twi, etua onyonku mua, etua duem, etua uhumu dia, etua nipem. To wait, Mr. Speaker, when it happens to somebody and he's complaining about it, you see absolutely nothing wrong with it. When it happens to you, now you complain. So, Mr. Speaker, if he wants to invite the special prosecutor to come and answer why his friend, and today he's complaining because it is his friend. The minority leader, Osahin, has been raising this matter over and over again, that the investigative bodies are weaponizing their power.
During the deliberation on the OSP, a number of us stated on the floor of this house that there's no constitutional basis. We cannot continue to allocate that huge sums to the same office when we are not getting the results is one of the agencies we should be looking at.
Mr. Speaker, the office has been in existence for how many years now? Close to 8 years. Tell me what is really the achievement of that office. What has been the achievement of that office? I have consistently held the position that fighting corruption is not about littering the place with institutions. It is the political commitment of those who lead that fights corruption. I believe that it is high time that this Parliament reconsiders its decision to approve the establishment of the Office of Special Prosecutor.
What will you do when you win big? With over 2 million Ghana cedis up for grabs, transact more than 100 Ghana cedis with your Momo app, and you could win daily, weekly, and monthly cash prizes, and 100,000 Ghana cedi grand prize. Bank transfers, POS, and third-party transactions also qualify. This promo runs in collaboration with the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply.
Strong and refined. The skincare you deserve. Dream.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
What juice are you taking?
This is Koa Natural 100% cocoa fruit juice.
Can I have a glass?
Of course.
Koa Natural 100% cocoa fruit juice is not just your regular cocoa drink. This is an innovative juice made from the pulp of the cocoa fruit. Once the cocoa pod is harvested, the pulp, which would have been previously discarded, this time is set aside, and that is what is used to make your Koa Natural 100% cocoa fruit juice. Not only is Koa refreshing, the taste is incredible.
Wow.
There's no added sugar, no additives, and no preservatives. 100% cocoa fruit juice. Don't worry, you won't be left out.
Wow, this is unbelievable. I would take this anytime, any day.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park. Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park. Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time, our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the eco park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interacting them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Let's talk hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids are normal structures located in the anus of all mammals.
But it is only man who suffers hemorrhoidal disease because of the erect posture we have assumed and the squatting that we do to empty our bowel. Hemorrhoids consist of a special type of blood vessels which fill with blood when we are moving our bowel and help to cushion the anus against the force of transmitting the stool. Afterwards, they empty their blood, collapse, help seal the anus to maintain continence. Over time, these vessels lose the elasticity of their walls, become dilated, permanently filled with blood, leading to congestion of the hemorrhoids. The symptoms of hemorrhoids are bleeding and prolapse of the hemorrhoids when passing stool, itching and feeling of warmth in the anus and anal discharge. Laser, ligature, and longo are the modern, minimally invasive, most effective and painless methods of treating hemorrhoids today.
Winterber Hospital, first Ghana Colorectal Center, in to serve a peculiar health need.
From across Africa, they come with dreams. At Academic City, they find purpose.
I am from Nigeria. Studying computer science here has opened my mind to the world of innovation.
As a parent, seeing my daughter thrive at ACT gives me peace of mind.
ACT didn't just teach me skills, it gave me the confidence to lead change.
World-class faculty, hands-on learning, a campus that inspires bold thinking. Join a community building Africa's future today. Academic City University, educating future-ready leaders.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, Mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again? Now I understand the whole delay. Troll from Kaswa, dear. Why wouldn't he be late? Or being late?
Of course.
Be the luckiest, copy from your job, be luckiest. From not the cause we be luckiest. Yeah, you go be luckiest. No matter why you're luckiest, everybody go be the luckiest.
That's Kwame!
Say ya God the apple boom. If you put it toy, so would the coming of the Son of Man be.
Hey!
Is that his car?
Ha! Even now, your shadow the way designer.
I use my own mouth to reject him. Oh, this is my mouth. Look at that.
Kwame, my son. Now, tell me the truth. How did this all happen?
Oh, mommy, a simple direction. Mr. Good Luck no me way. Yeah, mom.
Easy qua. Or dial star 712 hash.
The devil is a liar.
He picked his ticket and entered his lucky 5-digit number.
How much baby?
Oh, how romantic.
And he followed the prompts. Yes. And then boom. Confirmation test.
One quick, pick 5 numbers for me, okay? I'm feeling like 7.
Star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle them.
You see how they love you now?
Yo, baby, I'll find me before December, maybe release a motivation album. Patapa, my super.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
From the heart of Ghana comes elegance that endures. Gold ball jewelry
craft world-class jewelry from the finest gold, diamonds, and precious minerals. Gold ball jewelry designed to celebrate your milestones, your style, your legacy. Gold ball jewelry, pure, precious, proudly Ghanaian. Visit our showroom or shop online.
So, Charlie, the deal there, I almost get her.
Syntax pipe, as tough as it can get.
You get so sorry with your actually. Oh, what you was that thing?
What the cat never won.
Hey! Now I'm back.
Between and Kapay and Cabo.
Hey, madam, bye, menu.
I Syntax pipe. Metono, Omukacham send a word in pa. Say a fee, say a foam. The other pipe we be a yen gum.
Syntax pipe.
Why a leaky?
Hi, madam. From today, Syntax pipe in my pipe. No two ways.
When you know, pipe Ben Abe Yusu.
SINTEX pipe.
Syntax pipe.
In a water. No, hala.
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile, smile. Is the money too small? A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go, let's go.
Mwah. Can you bring down the smiles more? Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Yeah, welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. Yunus Afuseni is here. Kofi Bentel is here. Samuel Apiadako is here. Vicky Bright is on Zoom. And Manasseh Azurawini is also on Zoom. How I wish that all the discussion we're having during the break was part of the main discussion. Now, let me share some of your messages with you. And, okay, Prof says I shouldn't... announce him. This is a professor of law, and he says that when you have an anti-corruption institution which is 6 years old and has not secured a single conviction in open trial, then there is a huge perception deficit which it must work on overcoming, and fighting persons making allegations does little to help that perception. There is a reason why there is a threshold to its jurisdiction in terms of amounts it can pursue. The charge of obstruction in its law is designed to prevent obstruction pursuant to its investigations and not the ancillary issue of someone not cooperating in a collateral charge of someone behaving disorderly while on its premises. It was not in relation to the substantive investigation, which is wrong. Suleimana Isifu says that, okay, I'm so disappointed in Martin Pebu. If the office wasn't facing any challenges, why did Martin Amidu, whom Pebu holds in so much esteem, resign? Shouldn't that signal to him that the office was under attack? Does Manasseh think the OSP takes the claim of saving 2.7 billion lightly? Considering that they are in court over the matter, it should tell Manasseh that the OSP is not engaging in gimmickry. That's why it gives me great distress that Manasseh went public over his this matter, potentially derailing the ongoing case. It's sad to see anti-corruption crusaders fighting among themselves instead of focusing on the ultimate enemy, the corrupt. Okay. Okay. So this one is from Musa Abatwa in Wassce, Kumasi. He says, after listening to both sides of the issue, I believe that no matter the altercation involving Martin Pebu, he should not have been pushed into any unlawful act. These officers are trained to handle provocations and related situations professionally. In my candid opinion, this is not only about the alleged unlawful conduct of the OSP. The office hasn't also been beneficial in many ways since its establishment. My regards. Okay. The party people who greet the party people, we don't do that on Newsfile. No, it's not you. It's not you. It's not you guys. This one says, regarding the issue surrounding the OSP, please find out from the panelists, how come nobody seems to be concerned or even mention the Director of Investigations? What is his role in all of this? The whole issue is about investigation. We should be able to hear from the Director of Investigations too. So he says that's where our focus should be and not the Special Prosecutor himself. Okay, so Yakubu Ibn Chambers in Walewale says, I can sense an inversion of covering up massive corruption in the calls by the supermajority in Parliament to dispose of the OSP, just as they forged a role in the dismissal of the former Chief Justice Tokono. Some few months back, when they were in opposition, they cried wolf for the creation of a corruption-fighting machine. Now they are in charge of affairs and are going inordinate lengths to scrap the very machine they called for. Double standards, propaganda to the highest extreme. Okay, so I'll take this last round of messages. This one says, Inusa Fuseni, Honorable, we don't agree on some topics. You have always held up the flag of Ghana and protected the Constitution. You have emphasized it on Newsfile today. Okay, so thank you. Kwame Nketia says, Honorable advice from Inusa that citizens must be civil when invited is a good call. Pebu, no matter how provocative, should be decorous. That's what you wanted to say. He says should be decorum. And then Ajay Bequin, you say, let not the SP be swayed by the parochial interest of some political animals and their allies on both sides. He should be assured that there are a good number of citizens like us. Though ordinary, we are aware of the smear campaign, agenda-setting theory at play. And then Akilu says, very funny, when Ken Ofori-Atta was asked to resign as a finance minister on grounds of ill health, he said no, because money sweets. Ironically, today, ill health is being used by Ken Ofori-Atta to evade accountability. Thank you for your messages. Now, let's return, and we are doing the show until 12:30. It does look like the Wassce, we may not get to Wassce, because the OSP matter has various tentacles. It should be scrapped. That's what we're being told. You heard your friends in Parliament, Honorable Nusa.
Oh yes, I heard them, and I was shocked. Most of them who spoke were members of my committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs.
Even the Speaker?
Yes, at the time that we were considering the promulgation of the law. And so I was surprised.
Are you there? They said there's not been value for money. Why are you surprised?
Well, there has been value for money. What about the deterrent value? You know the number of people who are running away from corruption because of the existence of that office.
And the potential.
You know, can we put a value on that? Do you know the amount of money they have saved? Do you know the amount of money Matan Hamidu saved this country by just doing a corruption perception index?
Japan.
You know the amount of money. Do you know the amount of money that OSP will save us from the MIF investigation? You know why MIF was established in the first place? To be able to track the utilization of our mineral income and invest them in such a way that we could grow the fund so that it could become a heritage fund. Look at Norway. They took the same decision. Today, Norway has $1.3 trillion in their heritage fund. Conscious, deliberate, intentional effort. You need guardrails to prevent people from engaging in acts that dissipate state resources without benefit to us. You need that.
We have the AG, we have Shraj, we have Yoko.
But we had, you see, that is where I don't get the argument. We had Shraj, we had AG, we had Yoko, we had the Financial Intelligence Center before the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. So the coming on board of the Office of the Special Prosecutor validates the argument that those bodies were not performing to the expectation of Ghanaians.
They say it's a failed experiment.
It's not.
It's been 8 years.
Well, Attorney General has been in existence since independence.
Since before independence.
Since before independence. So, question. The rationale for the establishment of the office, has it abated? We said that the Attorney General could not prosecute his own or politically appointed persons because he was part of that system, that ecosystem.
This is the memorandum to the bill.
Yes.
I'm reading the part of the Attorney General. Said that the monopoly of prosecutorial authority by Attorney General, who is hired and fired by the President, has been singled out by governance experts as one of the key factors that stand in the way of using law enforcement and prosecution as a credible tool in the fight against corruption.
Yes.
Who hires the OSP? The SP. Who hires him?
So you go back to Section 4 of the OSP Act. And all these things about constitutionalism, I simply do not get it. I don't get it. When we were considering the establishment of the Act, this was the biggest obstacle we had to overcome. Then we realized that, so the tax authorities, they prosecute. Is it the Attorney General who prosecutes for them? They have a fiat.
From the Attorney General?
From the Attorney General. The police,
EPA,
they all have fiats. So that alone should tell you that it is not the Attorney General who exclusively prosecutes. He can give a fiat, he can delegate. Now, but we're looking to establish an office that even though the Attorney General could delegate some of his powers, and we knew he subjected Section 4.2 to Article 88.3, recognizing the power of the Attorney General. But Section 4.1 is very key because it statutorily transfers the fiat from the Attorney General to the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
And it was written there in the
It was written there in the law. So you recognize the power of the Attorney General to prosecute, and you recognize also the power of the Attorney General to give a fiat, but you insulate that office created from control, from manipulation of the Attorney General, because you want to cure an existing malady.
Yes. So what you provided there was that subject to Clause 4 of Article 88 of the Constitution, the office shall, for the purposes of this Act, be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct the prosecution and the prosecution of corruption and corruption-related offences. Some have said this means the office is under the control of the Attorney General.
No. So read the before that one.
except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, the office is not subject to the direction or control of a person or an authority in the performance of the functions of the office.
Yeah. Yes. So that gives it the operational independence. That gives that office the operational independence. We also realize that, and I mean, Kukwasa has raised an issue which is germane to this discussion. But we also realize that the office actually is performing part of the functions of the Attorney General. So the finances of the office could be coming from the Attorney General's office. But we've given it operational independence. And we're saying that it's not subject to the control and direction of the Attorney General. So that was the fight between Gloria Akufu and Matramido. Gloria Akufu had argued that if you are not under my control, I cannot be seen to be inputting your budget requirement and requests into the gift mix for you. You have to do it yourself. Meanwhile, that the special prosecutor had not been set up to do that.
Because of a constitutional problem.
So we had to overcome that difficulty. Because if you give it financial independence, it means that they must first of all prepare their own budget.
How did you overcome that difficulty?
We got the Minister of Finance to set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor on the give me system. So they assess their money directly. Directly.
And now it has to go into the constitution.
You understand? So yes. But this is a common law relic. The fiat thing, the Attorney General being the sole prosecutorial authority, is a common law development. So you ask yourself, Singapore is a common law country. Canada is a common law country. South Africa is a common law country. All these countries have special prosecutors. Yes. If the Attorney General's office is a creation or is a relic of common law, and that all prosecutorial powers were vested in the state, and it was only the Attorney General who could manifest it, how have these countries overcome that? Because they're all common law countries, and Ghana is a common law country.
Constitutional review.
So I think that all we need to do, my brother, can we take one single case, the case of Ken Ofori-Atta, to evaluate the usefulness or otherwise of the Office of the Special Prosecutor?
Shouldn't.
We can't.
Shouldn't.
People say that it will come to the discussion before the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution. And why the 1992 Constitution contained the provision of Article 78(1). It was only one single act. Failure or refusal of the majority in Parliament under President Liman to pass the budget of the... That alone has created for us another constitutional matter. Because we said, oh, that should not arise again. So we are going to make it possible for the executive to choose a majority of its ministers.
Parliament.
But we are now in a problem. The new constitutional review, many people have appeared before it, including you, to advocate for the removal of Article 78(1). And many members of Parliament are also in support of the removal of one single act. We never thought out a remedy to it. We constitutionalized it, and it gave us a problem.
So
it weakened Parliament. Now, so let's see how we can strengthen the value of the existence of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, or an office in the nature of the Office of the Special Prosecutor cannot be quantified on the basis or assessed on the basis of one single person. The failure to arrest one single person. It must be all-encompassing.
Okay.
And I pray that my former colleagues of Parliament should look at the rationale, examine whether or not our fight against corruption is still relevant.
So quickly, the non-performance tag is tied to Kissi Agyabeng.
The non-performance. And what has Kissi Agyabeng done or not done?
That's it. They say he's just not being...
No, again...
He's just not being worked.
Let's go to Section 15. Section 15 even imposes an onerous responsibility for any Ghanaian citizen who wants to bring a petition for the removal of the office of the Special Prosecutor. The terms under which a special prosecutor can be removed is more expansive than the terms under which a court of the Superior Court, a judge of the Superior Court of Judicature can be removed.
That's true.
You realize that?
Correct.
Why did we do that?
There's 2 extra rooms.
2 extra rooms.
That's so open.
The number of people are just 3. It is 3, the committee. Just 3. So Kisi Ajabin knows of this provision. All those complaining, have they brought evidence to show that he's been incompetent in the performance of his duties? If they have evidence, they should continue and put the evidence in the petition.
What is your assessment of his performance?
I think that initially, let me tell you, let me make a confession on this platform. And if Thompson is listening to me, when Kwesi Ajami was appointed by His Excellency the President, I was well aware, because at the Faculty of Law, he was 2 or 3 years behind me. But I knew of his relationship with Gabi Ochiridako. I also knew of his relationship with Kenneth Furiata. And I said, well, I also thought that he was too young. And as a corruption, anti-corruption agent, most jurisdictions pick older people because of the risk. They look at the family of the person to be appointed to that office and see whether if any calamity befalls him, his children can survive. It's one of the considerations. And so when they appointed him, I said, oh, he has a young family. He's a young man. He is close to Gabi. He's close to Kenofurata. And so I don't think that he will be best suited for that office. I didn't challenge his competence. He was a lecturer at the Faculty of Law at that time. So I had no problem. He was a fine lawyer. You know who called me? The Attorney General. The Attorney General.
Gloria Kufu.
No. Who is the Attorney General?
Present.
Yes.
Okay.
I said, oh, the man is a very good lawyer. He can do the work. And he called me. Thompson wrote a piece. I said I was not against young people. I just was airing my opinion because of what I know about fighting corruption. And so when he said he had bought bulletproof cars, I was not shocked at all. Bombs have been planted under the cars of special prosecutors and blasted off. Their children, some children have been kidnapped. These people, the special prosecutor is dealing with, are powerful people. Vicky Bright has mentioned it. They are powerful people, and they can go to all lengths to disrupt an investigation. But when he was appointed, Samson, I followed him closely. I realized one value. He's got the courage of conviction to even go against his appointers. Whether he's doing it well or not is another matter. But that courage of conviction. That look, the person I thought that this man cannot touch, he's touching them.
Look, you are almost at the point of suggesting that being in that office is to be in prison.
Oh, he's in prison. That's the sacrifice he's making for this country. He's in prison, I'm telling you. You know the number of people he's investigating? And you know who those people are? Powerful people. Some of them have even bought aircrafts of their own and flying about. He's investigating them.
Okay. Okay, I didn't expect this. So, Kofi.
Yeah.
And before you go to, I've heard you already, it shouldn't be scrapped. Of course, that would be strange because you guys were at the beginning.
Samson, before you
civil society calling
so
for it.
if you call for, let's ask ourselves one last question. If you scrap OSP, who is it going to benefit?
The politicians who are asking for it to be scrapped.
Corrupt politicians.
So, okay, you're asking. Oh, let me go ahead.
Yes. I was coming to you and I forgot what I said.
So let me go ahead. See, he has spoken a lot of law. Yeah. I'm trying to just bring it down because this discussion that led to the OSP took off in earnest after President Kufuor. So it's over 10 years. The OSP is about 7 years. And I just like to bring people's minds to some of the discussions there, because all the things you heard this week in Parliament were put before the panels. I was part of some, and debated at length and concluded that this is the way to go. So see, when you hear them say the OSP was unconstitutional, it is not true. We faced the constitutional problem. There was no provision in this constitution for an OSP. And we had a problem with Attorney General. So how do we deal with it? We took some of the power and gave it to them. Then the problem of control came in. Then we fixed it with that article there to give it the independence. The OSP is entirely constitutional. All right. Then they talk about, it's the same political process that will, come up with the process. No, there was a proper appointment process that led to this. Okay. And look, we are not dealing with angels. All right. This was part of a whole thing. Look, there was this whole period of turmoil in this country, led to the starting of Occupy Ghana. That led to us pushing for the Auditor General to do surcharges and disallowance. Yes. And I remember when President Mahama appointed Domolevo, we hit the roof. We were very upset because it was the dire moments. Domolevo turned out to be a great person. Then I remember when President Akufo-Addo appointed Martin Amidu, we were all happy. Sure. Martin Amidu ended up not being the right person. Kisia Jabing is a first-class constitutional criminal law scholar. Okay, he has not been well tested yet. I have confidence in him personally. I am not happy with some of the things happening now, but under no circumstance that this episode involving my own friend and client mean that he should be removed. And if Martin, who I said I am his lawyer, has his petition, it is there in 15.2. Yeah. Write it to the president. That's why some of us even said you shouldn't submit to this. So let that process go through. But when it comes to the office of the OSP, let us be clear. First, I said it's not unconstitutional. Number two, let it not be said that it is now that parliamentarians are realizing that, it is a bad thing, whatever it is. They have never been in favor of that office. You will testify.
But they passed the bill.
They passed it because
by partisan consensus. I remember very much at the time, and I was following it very closely. Dominic Ayine, now the Attorney General. Yes. He was so against it. He was against it, but he compromised. Yeah. He was one of the key MPs who contributed largely to framing the law.
No. Okay, so you said against it now. Yeah. So the point is, from the beginning, we were all there. Yeah. They were not for it. Yeah. Let me explain why. Look, we have nice people. The people you are mentioning, we all know them. But the office of the OSP was specifically crafted to go after political corruption, mostly from the executive. And the point that was made was that the Attorney General's office was over 100 years old. It is not because there are bad people there, but it simply structurally was not set up, such that the person appointed by the president, who is at the apex, who is a member of a cabinet, should go and prosecute his own people. It just wasn't going to work. And so we came to the conclusion that we needed to do something with this one. Okay. Then there was a wider discussion that there's so much legal work to be done in government, advising on electricity concessions, on everything, Attorney General, prosecuting everybody, Attorney General, advising the temporary presidency, Attorney General, and so many other things. So it needed to be broken up. There were discussions about an independent Solicitor General, an independent public prosecutor, and then the President's Council.
And decoupling the Attorney General from the Minister of Justice.
Exactly. Yeah. And we had all these things. Then we decided that because corruption was so rampant and the problem was big, that is when Occupy Ghana were up and down, we were doing all these things. I went to court over RTI to support all these things. Yeah. And all the things that were going on, we said, let us prioritize.
You went to court under that vehicle?
Yeah. Yes, past branding.
The vehicle you were using then. I mean the group. Your group, Lowland Sego.
Yeah, Lowland Sego Moses. Citizen Ghana Movement.
Right, Citizen Ghana Movement, right.
Point is, people forget quickly, but there was a lot of agitation. Yeah. There was a lot of discussion. I just want to make the point that these discussions were hard. And superior arguments led to the formation of the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
So what do you say to those people who are saying today that the Office of the Special Prosecutor was an agenda by the Akufo-Addo to prosecute NDC people, and so it must go?
It is not true, because there were fears on both sides. All right? Nana Akufo-Addo was AG at a point. They felt, he was going to go after these people. Kufuor comes in, he went after Malamisa.
Yeah.
You know, there were fears on both sides. When President Mills came, he ended up doing turning SFO to Ioko. Everybody was blaming everybody. And that is part of why we said let's have independence. And the idea, this is a first step in an ultimate step. So the ultimate is to actually fit it in the constitutional review and have it properly done. So this first step cannot say, in fact, the OSP is a victim of its own high expectations. Okay, we so much want more from them that we are impatient. Why haven't you said the same thing about Ioko and Co? All right, so please, let's know that this is a work in progress.
So you are saying that the nature of the OSP and its independence attracts the kind of attacks that we have seen the office suffer over the period. So the officers, the occupants there should not be surprised.
They should not. And all the people observing also should not. What we should do is to make the OSP better, stronger, fitter. And that was the original intention. This is not a complete job.
Right.
When this job is finished, we would have a President's Council who is a member of cabinet advising the president, an independent solicitor general advising about the power transport and road contract and whatever it is, civil matters, and then a prosecutor general who is also, the OSP becomes the prosecutor general, you know, and some of those things.
That's the kind of the frame that Ace and Kuma is thinking about and has written about.
Ace and Co were all part of that, you know,
right.
Prempe and Co. You were there.
And Professor H. Kwesi Prempe has actually been very livid about what's happened in Parliament. H. Kwesi Prempe, Professor Kweku Azan, I've seen just too many people.
And it was H. Prempe who stood in the committee meeting and said, look, we are going to commit a lot of resources to the OSP. So we must insert in the law accountability provisions.
Yes.
OSP must periodically tell us.
Babin says they are getting too much. They don't deserve.
No, 6 months. They are reporting every 6 months. All those things.
So your friend, Abdul Malik Kubako.
Yes.
He says, I salute Inusa Fuseni for his consistency and coherence of his thoughts on the OSP saga today. I am also shocked by the calls for the abolition of the OSP on basis of perceived unconstitutionality by some of his colleagues in and out of the legislature. Interestingly, there are similar calls from sections of the opposition. For me, this underscores that the OSP is doing, quotes, something valuable, end quotes. Even if the OSP and the SP have had challenges with their operations, I salute Inusa Fuseni.
Something, please.
And he said that the Hansard shows that though Ayene and some NDC MPs, including Inusa, raised issues of constitutionality, they nonetheless approved the OSP after some constructive contributions and amendments, amendments that I say, as far as I can remember, Dominic Ayene was leading. An amendment that they, the NDC MPs, made at the second reading and the clause-by-clause consideration stages. Yes, you want to say something?
I want to say something. It is a whole architecture. And out of all that, okay, we had PPA, Public Procurement Agency. And the idea is they should prevent these things. You take it to them, you do this and that. We pass the law. And I always say that that small hole in the law, single source, was elevated. That's another matter. We should deal with it. Then you have the Internal Audit Agency. Whilst the procurement and other things are going on, they have to be working. They are not being that effective. We should be looking there also. And when everything has been said and done, the Auditor General should receive all those things. And when he finds problem with it, surcharge and disallow. Domelevo proceeded and he was doing it. He has been disrupted. We need to go there. Then you have Public Accounts Committee. I have reminded Mr. Domelevo recently, immediately after Public Accounts Committee, IOCO and OSP must take all the briefs and work with them, all right? Behind that, we did RTI, so that if you had a problem, we could get it. It's a whole architecture. We haven't worked it yet. My last point. 7 years is too little.
Little time.
Too little in a democracy, even in a life, to finish a full assessment. And Kisi, in particular, has been there for just a few years. Let me say to his benefit, some people would have taken Tamar Refinery for themselves.
Yes.
Almost for nothing. I was part of the fight that helped. And it was Kisi who helped us to stop it. There are so many things that I've done. I am the one fighting on behalf of Martin Kubu right now. But I'm saying we should not make the mistake. When you have bipartisan, agreement that we should scrap something, with all due respect to my friends in parliament and everything, this is directed at executive corruption at the national level because it tends to come from amongst their midst.
Thank you.
I think it's in our interest to keep the OSP and make it better.
Thank you. And so you guys have heard Kofi Bento, right? And I keep saying one thing about it. You say, oh, you are featuring him too frequently. Meanwhile, he's Baumia, so that is MPP. And I keep telling you, Kofi Bento doesn't think like that. Oh. It's like, these your Manasi people. They are difficult to manage. If you think they support you today, so they will support you always, you are wrong. I'm being asked to take a break quickly, then I'll return to Manasseh, Vicky Bright, and then Samidako. But there's this writer, just a fantastic writer. Everybody is celebrating, K. Kujo. And he says, the issue is simple. Ghana cannot fight corruption by weakening the only independent office created to prosecute it. The OSP must answer for its communication lapses, but it cannot be destroyed because of an emotional public moment. The law protects criticism, but it also requires evidence when accusations damage a statutory institution. When the OSP invited proof, none was provided. At the same time, its officers were enforcing lawful security protocols at a restricted zone, as Act 959, which is the OSP Act, requires. That is procedure, not intimidation. The way forward is not demolition, but reform. Strengthen the OSP, demand proof from everyone. That is how a serious republic behaves. Before I take that break, Sami, quickly, there's concern. Somebody was saying, why is it that your officer that I spoke to, why is it that we are putting the person in anonymity? If I want them to believe me more, we should disclose who the person is. Well, I know the person. You know the person. Why did you insist that we should not disclose the person's identity?
Well, because the men and women in that office, they do a lot of covert operations. And it is important that we protect their identity. That's why we have been uncomfortable when even Martin Pebu keeps mentioning names of officers that he meets in the public. Because like Mr. Fuseni said, they have young families, and this is a very dangerous job. I think this matter is well known. The special prosecutor has survived 2 assassination attempts.
What do you say again?
I said the special prosecutor has survived 2 assassination attempts. And yet, there are so many things that we don't put out. Myself, I've been handcuffed and beaten before by 17 police officers, dragged out of my official
police?
Duty. Yeah, in the past.
You that is a police.
I think he has police powers. In the past, because there was a clash, right? So the work that we do is dangerous. Myself, I don't even live at one place. And the same, because people say that you are the face, you are talking, and do, like Honorable Fuseni said, these people are very powerful. The people we are dealing with, they are very powerful. I'll give you a typical example of one case. There's a case we are doing about fuel diversion, in which people have taken 800 million Ghana, 600 million Ghana, 80 million Ghana, and you're asking them to pay. And they're saying that the money is gone. They say, sell your assets and bring us the money. And you think that such people, they won't be happy when you are not there. They will be certainly happy, and they are not going to sit down and just allow you to be. We have put before court former commissioner generals. We have put before court one of the most powerful men in Ghana. Nobody could sack him. And these are very powerful people we are going after. So if you allow our officers' names to be all over the place, they may not be able to do the work that they have to do. So sometimes the public should understand.
OSP has suffered 2 assassination attempts, and the people don't know one of Martin's concerns. How come the people don't know this?
Because some of these matters are treated at the highest level. But I do understand, and sometimes for national security purposes, I was not supposed to even say this.
Is anybody being investigated over these assassination attempts?
There have been investigations in the past. But the point I want to make...
Not in the past. It should be ongoing, and that's... You are looking for somebody to be responsible for this?
There have been investigations.
What form did this take? Sorry, what form did this take?
I cannot disclose them readily. There are some things that, but I just wanted the public to know that we face a grievous risk in the job that we do. And so putting out the names of officers is quite dangerous. You remember there was a leak of confidential memo in which names of officers were published. And some of the officers threatened to stop the job because they started getting calls. And sometimes people will threaten you and say that you want to take away my daily bread. And so it's a difficult job. So if we don't put out their names, it's because we are protecting them and their families. At least some of us, we have been known for a while. So there's nothing like going quiet.
Okay, I remember at the beginning stages, when we wanted to speak to you, you wanted to be blacked out. You already know it. Anyway, interesting there. Okay, this job we do, like lawyers, we hold secrets, we push paper. That's all we do. Some of the things he's mentioning, I'm sure the people on this table, they know about it. And they've known about it for a long time, but they are not for the public. We'll be right back.
What will you do when you win big? With over 2 million Ghana cedis up for grabs, transact more than 100 Ghana cedis with your Momo app, and you could win daily, weekly, and monthly cash prizes and 100,000 Ghana cedi grand prize. Bank transfers, POS, and third-party transactions also qualify. This promo runs in collaboration with the NLA on the Caritas Lottery platform. Terms and conditions apply.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. With our cutting-edge technology and digital support, we take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Stronger brand you can trust. Polytank, we get some more Rambo and get some more super. And the Polytank we did.
Polytank, Papa Noah, Asta.
Excellent furnishing in a real estate business is a great deal for survival. My struggles as a young estate developer were cut short when I discovered Fernart Ghana. With quality furniture made from the finest woods and amazing after-sale service, Fernart Ghana changed my story with every single home I built. It's a one-stop shop that serves the interests of clients with a variety of living room and dining sets, solid wood kitchen installations, wardrobes, doors, cabinets, beds, pergolas, floor parquets, and many other wooden products that will last a lifetime. With Fernart Ghana, all clients are offered the opportunity to customize furniture to their specifications, and the smile on their faces says it all. Thanks to Fernart, now your home can look beautiful with furniture that would last for generations. Visit Fernart Ghana today and share my story. Locate us at Yaniba Estate, Osu, Accra, or call 0303 966085 or 055 278 4097. Think wood, think Fernart.
In a world where everything is connected, your business's security is only as strong as its weakest link. The growing threat of cybercrime has become an unescapable reality. In 2025 alone, the projected cost of cybercrime is expected to grow to $10 trillion globally, with small and medium businesses disproportionately targeted. Cyber threats have become increasingly sophisticated, widespread, and invisible, placing unequipped organizations at risk of massive damages in a matter of seconds. Meet Virtual InfoSec Africa, Ghana's Tier 1 certified managed security service provider. Our AI-driven managed security services empower businesses with faster, smarter, and more proactive cyber protection. We don't just monitor threats. We predict, prevent, and respond 24/7. At Virtual InfoSec Africa, we deliver bold and cost-effective cybersecurity solutions tailored to your organization's size and complexity. Whether you're a startup or a national institution, our services scale with your needs. We offer 24/7 SOC monitoring, early warning threat intelligence, managed detection and response, digital forensics and incident response, and predictive analysis and threat hunting. From endpoint protection to dark web forensics, we secure every layer of your digital ecosystem. Why wait for a breach to act? Join the ranks of high institutions who trust Virtual InfoSec Africa to secure their future. Start your 3-month free trial of our early warning threat intelligence platform today. For more inquiries, contact 055-689-2086 or visit our website at www.virtualinfosecafrica.com.
Thank you very much for staying with us. This is Newsfile, it's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and we're having an extended edition. We should conclude shortly, but it looks like Unisa Fuseni today has been the star of the show. Professor Kweku Azah says, I salute Inusa for his brilliant, dispassionate, and thoughtful submissions on the OSP and the Special Prosecutor. With that intervention, I believe he has effectively ended a debate that, frankly, should never have begun. Thank you, Professor Kweku Azah. Prof, we want you to make time. You know, Prof has been teaching around this time of the Newsfile. So for a long time now, he's not been able to avail himself to assist us with his iconoclastic, fluorescent constitutional, lectures, so to speak. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, I go to Manasseh and Vicky. Should the office go? I read from Manasseh earlier, you are one of the many people who had posted comments quickly to say we shouldn't allow the politicians to have their way. Then I saw that you wrote another article that the Office of Special Excuses must be abolished. What's going on?
Samson, I tend to agree with everybody in the studio that the office must stay. I'm not saying the office must stay because of what the office is now. I have listened to Honorable Inusa speak brilliantly about some of the reasons it must stay, but I'm not a lawyer and my knowledge is limited. I speak as someone who is in the anti-corruption space, investigating. I speak as someone who has done investigations. At least 2 of my investigations went to the OSP. I have not been happy with how one went about. Mm-hmm. There's another even serious one which I refrained from bringing up until I think this week Samid Aku posted it. I want to give this example. I may be in the minority, but what I want to say is that if we don't correct it, this office in the next 20 years will have no results, tangible results. And I'm minded by the professor who said after some years, if there's no single prosecution. So let me give you the reason I'm saying this. The Fourth Estate in 2024 did an investigation on national service. It was that bad. They put an injunction on the publication. So they went to the office of the special prosecutor with that petition. Then when, after the election, oral started, the Fourth Estate took that same petition to oral. I don't know their reason.
Because it was very
but
short.
Oral is a political promise. So for that institution to believe oral over the Fourth Estate, it shows something. But I'm coming to something. When you talk about the benefits that Inu Safuseni mentioned, I will say they are not enough. One, if you talk about deterrence, there was a time in this country that if anybody wanted to be corrupt, the person they feared was Anas Arimia Anas, a journalist, not any institution. So deterrence can come from many other places. Today, if I were a corrupt person, I would fear Iyoko and Oral more than the OSP. Talk about savings. Kofi Bentil and other CSOs led the Acre Energy thing project. And I think the amount they saved the nation from that Acre Energy deal is more than any amount that any institution has ever saved. If you talk of it, civil society,
$6 billion US. Okay.
US dollars, yes. So when it comes to savings, I have done stories that contracts were cancelled, hundreds of millions of dollars saved. Civil society is doing that. It is not enough. If you take even this SML investigation, before the OSP started this investigation, Akufo-Addo had cancelled, or the intervention by PMG had led to the cancellation of 2 of the contracts. 2 were suspended. So that by the time the OSP finished its work, the only payment we were making to SML was the $1.6 million a month. So I'm saying that it is not enough. Prosecution is important. And that is what I want to just give one example of a case I'm familiar with. Our viewers and listeners may be familiar with a certain contract for sale investigation in 2019. If Sami Darko said that there was some intel they got I was about to go out, it had nothing to do with this. It has to do with that contract. And then Kisie Jabin, to his credit, when he speaks to you, you will listen. So he spoke to me and I listened, and I've never mentioned this until Sami Darko brought it up on social media this week. But what I was about to go out with was to write a letter to the special prosecutor and say that I am not going to testify for the OSP in the PPA CEO Ejenim Boateng case. And there was a reason I was going to do that. This case was taken to court in 2022. I was the first prosecution witness for the OSP. I went to court, I testified. All the evidence I submitted was accepted by the court. And 2 sets of lawyers cross-examined me for about a year and a half, from December 2022 to April 2024. Then there was supposed to be another witness. I was told a Shraj investigator. The OSP discontinued the case, filed charges. We were told there were new charges because of further investigations. And then in October this year, I was called to come and testify again. After I had already spent a year and a half going to court, and everything was with my own resources. Not that I wanted to be paid, but it's just a matter of record. So I asked the questions. Why was the case discontinued? The director of prosecution.
Yeah. Manasseh, our time is up. Were you finishing, or you are going to?
Okay, so let me just summarize. Maybe I'll put the full detail out. But the fact of the matter is that even whilst the investigation was ongoing, my own evidence, which was the documentary, was missing from, even though the court accepted it, the pen drive the OSP put in didn't contain that. There was all the charges that have been filed again were in the old charge sheet. And as we speak, the strongest charge that showed that there was direct influence in the procurement process was not added. And this is what Sammy Darko said. I just want to read something briefly to you now.
So you have already taken the end of the time, and this is something that they should be able to react to. But unfortunately, I don't know if my production are able to get us 5 minutes extra, because it's so unfair that this is unexpected. They will not be able to react to it. Read what you're reading quickly. My time is up.
Sammy Darko said, and it's still on Facebook, that what they did was to take only the journalist report as evidence. And then they later realized that it was hollow after 2 years. But before he said this, he said that they knew that the journalist report didn't really contain any evidential value. So the point I'm trying to make is that in some instances, the results is not coming, not because the judges are not helping, not because the defense attorneys are frustrating the case, but in this situation, Kisei Jabe told me the last time we spoke that it is possible he would reinvestigate and then withdraw and file again. So this will be the third time, if he goes on to do that, the PPA case.
Manasseh, thank you very much. Sammy, let's see if we can get a minute of response to you, but the time may be cut anytime shortly. Yes. How do you respond? That's very serious.
Yeah, I just want to tell Manasseh that prosecutorial decision rests with the special prosecutor. If at any point in time he thinks that the case is not strong and needs to be reinvestigated, he has that opportunity to do that. And once we noticed that the case was not strong and it had to be reinvestigated, it was done. And now the case is back in court and trial is ongoing.
Yes, he's saying that the thing you are bringing back, nothing has changed. No. So what's the point?
Because he doesn't have a prosecutorial eye, but a lot have changed.
He doesn't need a prosecutorial eye to see the charges. If you look at the number of witnesses,
in the first case it was him and an investigator. Now we have 5 witnesses. The first case, there was no financial.
5 witnesses. Did you need to terminate the case to start all over to
yes,
add those witnesses?
because we needed time to investigate. So you have to file, how do you call it? You have to amend your charges. And then what he says, there's no changes. There are a lot of changes, even in the narration and all that. But I think that brother...
This is a big blue announcement.
It's not a big
The guy who testified for you in this case and getting to nail the man says that he's no longer interested.
It's not a problem because now there are more witnesses. And my point I'm making is that it has been explained to him that the case was...
You were just told that you should coordinate with them in a way.
And
it's a problem. You need him.
I'm saying that the reason why I'm saying this is this. We have had the opportunity 100 times to engage him. The director of prosecution has sat him down, engage him. SP himself has engaged him and said that we need to take this case out and reinvestigate it and do it better. I have understood Manasseh that a lot of the things we have done that he doesn't agree, it usually limits his role in those investigations. If that is the issue, he should also understand that as much as you have put your life in order, when this case goes well, it is to your credit. But leave prosecutors to do their job, even if others tell you.
So we shouldn't believe anybody who says something negative about you. Martin Pebu also raised that argument about a certain person that was supposed to be prosecuted. Your prosecutors were going to arrest them, and then you call them back not to arrest because you want to do a favor.
No, it is not true. I mean, some of these things are interesting because we are sitting at the top and seeing a bigger picture. So someone may tell you this happened. That case he's talking about is still an active investigation. It's a complex case. It's a very complex case that you need to take your time and do. For instance, how do you go out to conduct a raid, for instance, and then you don't have boots on the ground, if something happens to you, what will happen? So if maybe there's a directive that, no, pull up because you are being now cornered, it doesn't mean that we are botching a case or we don't want somebody to investigate. These are operational difficulties, and if some disgruntled staff tell you that this is not happening, it doesn't mean that that's the truth or that's the full story.
Okay.
I believe that they should give us time.
All right.
And people said we are not prosecuting.
I only got a limited
takeaway
additional.
actually is that Manasseh is saying that what we are doing is not enough. So it means that you must just up your game.
There is need for more behind the scenes interaction between these, anti-corruption fighters. A lot more behind the scenes.
Engagement.
But we will continue.
We couldn't discuss the EC heads matter. That one too. Is it not attempted partisan capture to fear that Jean Mensah and the deputies, they can change election results, so you should remove them?
No. There are two things. These are matters, different matters. You see, for EC, Jean Mensah was my good friend until she was appointed EC chairperson. But you see, I have a great difficulty with EC. For 4 years, they kept people unrepresented in parliament. And this was their act. That's my difficulty. For 4 good years.
That was bad.
That's very bad. Constitutionally, very bad. If that alone shows a level of incompetence. That's my
that
problem.
is not alone. We at Imani, we have had...
That was their fault?
That's their fault.
How?
Yes.
The Constitution says that you must create constituencies.
Is it Parliament that did that work?
No. It's the Electoral Commission.
You see?
Electoral Commission.
Parliament had the supervision. Why didn't Parliament stop it?
She was asked. What will happen to Lolobi, Likpe, Sontrofi, and Akpafo? I was there. She was asked.
The EC had the power in the
for 4 good years.
Or to stop everything else and let Parliament fix the problem and let them do it. They failed to do it.
Is there no other way to hold independent office heads accountable than removing them?
No,
because
there are other ways.
I remember, for example, IGP is not independent public head. But I made the argument that why? If there is something you don't like about Dampari, can't you check it rather than just remove him?
It's not the only remedy.
What are we doing to ourselves in this country?
In fact, the law, please, the law does not say that once a petition is put out there, even if the truth is found, the person should remove. It doesn't say that. There's a shall there. But if you read it together, the shall allows presidential discretion, which is why Justice Sophia Akufu said that even if these things were found against Madam Tokono, it didn't rise to the point of removal. So let's be clear. But no, we have a situation where the political operators have hijacked that process. That's what we appreciate.
This all time will allow us, unfortunately, and Kwekubaku says he disagrees with Yunusa that EC was responsible for the SAL situation. And my guests have been Victoria Bright, sincere apologies to you, Kofi Bentil, Samuel Apiadako, Manasseh Azuri-Awene, and Inusa Fuseni. Earlier, it was a one-on-one with Martin Luther. Pebu. Some of you don't know Martin, eh? Martin handed over to me as JCR president of Akwafu Hall. You can't break him. All right. We also spoke to the anonymous person from the OSP's office. Thank you all very much. Have a good afternoon.
Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner.
Where Duraplas goes, water flows.
PS Industries has introduced a new roofing system known as ColorLink Plus.
Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Syntax tank, are you strong? Are you tough?
Cherry Tree Properties. We develop spaces as though we were going to occupy them.